I've never been. Oh, wait. You've never been a huge Tom Petty fan? How dare you?
I've never even been a little Tom Petty fan, to be totally honest with you.
How?
I just didn't like Tom Petty.
Man.
He seemed very petty to me.
It seems so un-American to be.
Really?
Kinda.
I mean, I like Leonard Skinner.
All
That's
right.
American.
Sure. Yeah.
Willie Nelson.
Certain type
is
of
cool.
American.
You know, Johnny Cash. I like Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah.
So I'm American.
Yeah.
Just don't like Tom Petty.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I love all the rest of those guys too. Like Skinner. I went to a Skinner concert one time. It was
is it good?
Badass.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. That would have been dope.
They were opening for Bad Company.
Oh, really? Wow.
And then who opened for them? Knight Rider or something? They had one.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Opened for that.
Oh my gosh.
But
it's old school.
Even though Skinner and even though it was like two original members, I think it was Van Sant's brother was singing. Like Bad Company, I didn't realize how many songs they had on the radio that I knew.
Right,
I was like, oh my god, this is them too.
Wow.
I had no, but Skinner brought the party.
Really?
Like people were just up and dancing.
I can imagine. Yeah.
It almost felt like kind of a little letdown.
Can you imagine what those guys lived through? I mean, what that band lived through. I mean, geez.
Dude, the Swampers to go down to like the Muscle Shoals and like the Swampers band. They had like the same thing like Detroit had up here with the the Funk Brothers.
Oh, okay,
like, like how those guys that backed up all these artists up here in Detroit during Motown.
Motown, yeah.
Like that Muscle Shoals had the Swampers. You
so
learn about it in one of the in Sweet Home Alabama.
Wow.
Muscle Shoals got the Swampers.
Right, yeah. That's awesome. No, it's good stuff.
This is like I'm on the outside now. Remember when me and Dave Kaufman were getting into it about like world religion and stuff like that? And you're like, I'm just here for the ride. That's how I feel. You guys talk about
with
music. I'm like,
yeah.
I listen to it. I like it. I'm about an average height American fan of Tom Petty.
Average American. Is there a height
not a little one
thing with Tom Petty?
Well, no, you were saying like I've never been a big fan, not even like a little fan. I'm just an average height.
Yeah, I'm not even a roll-off fan.
Yeah.
Not even like I don't know. I'm just gonna try and gauge your Tom Pettiness. Like not even
oscillating,
free falling.
Dude, I just didn't like it, man. There's not one Tom Petty song that I've listened to that I thought was like this is my jam.
Okay, I'm kind of seeing the un-American side of this now.
Yeah.
Not. What about I'll stand my ground. Like I'll stand my ground.
Oh, I hated that.
And
I think it was like the cadence, you know what I mean? Because it's always like I stand my ground. You know?
Well, I can see.
Like, come on,
just sing
like,
it,
sing
dude.
it. Don't spit it.
I can see. No, I'm seeing. If you didn't like one Tom Petty song, I could see why you wouldn't like. No, I'm seeing.
Plus, it's very nasally.
That's what I'm saying. If you didn't like one, like it's obvious it's Tom Petty singing the song.
Yeah,
so if you didn't like one and it was like, the voice, then the rest of them
it's the voice. Yeah, it's the nasally, kind of.
So you're probably not a Bob Dylan fan either.
Weirdly enough, I love Bob Dylan.
This is backwards.
Weirdly enough, I love Bob Dylan, and I know he's very nasally, but he doesn't. I like Bob Dylan. Yeah, I like what he stands for too.
I feel like him and Petty stand for some of the same things.
I was going to say, what does Bob Dylan stand for?
I don't know, man. America.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we were talking about with Tom Petty.
I don't think Tom Petty's a good American.
This is why we have this podcast. It's all about our BS opinions for no reason whatsoever.
No, I have no idea, right? I don't know. I just remember when I was younger and Tom Petty'd come on the radio and I was always disappointed. It's like, I can't wait till this song goes by. So I can get on to some good Bee Gees.
Oh my God. Are we talking pre-falsetto Bee Gees? We're talking, talking Staying Alive.
No, Staying Alive, man. Come on. That album was good, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's good.
It's been a freaking hell of a weekend already.
Yeah.
Man. That yesterday, today,
I got in last night and it's been a hell of a weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
It's just what I needed. I mean, seriously, it's been a long time since I've had friends around and, I felt very isolated for a long time. You know, I know you guys have traveled around and done some things and stuff like that. We've pretty much been isolated since March. I've done nothing. I haven't even went out to restaurants. Nothing at all. And it's not because I'm like afraid to do anything. It's just kind of happenstance, the way it went. And like I had mentioned to you guys, Michigan in the early days of COVID were very locked down. Like this area was like shut off. It was like we were in like Chernobyl, you know, for 3 months, 2.5 months or something like that. So I think that, you know, it's been hard coming out of that after 2.5 months of being so just repressed, you know, so we didn't get a chance to go. I thought, and then again, you know, then all kinds of other things happened where I you know, got stuck here. But I was thinking about coming to St. Louis. Did you do St. Louis?
I didn't know. Okay. I really probably should have gone. No, I wouldn't have vended it, but just to go check it out. You're talking about NARBC.
Yeah. I was thinking about going to that one, and I didn't. You know,
I saw you had Brian on the podcast, and you were talking about that you were maybe going. I was like, damn, if Brian's going, I think I gotta go.
Yeah, I wanted to go, and you know, because I just thought it'd be cool, but I wasn't really just in the right spot to do it yet. You know what I mean? Like
that's actually why I didn't go. I'm like, that's not quite like I would love to get back to that, but
and that was the other thing. Is as it turned out, I think that the show wasn't very busy, but my initial thoughts was, do I really want to be in a room with like 3,000 people? Right. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. And it's not that I'm concerned about much of anything, to be honest with you. It's just I think that we have to ease ourselves back into society. It's culture shock both ways, right? You know, I mean, it's going to
be weird. It's gonna be weird.
I mean, the first time that I go to a sporting event or a music concert and have 10,000 people without masks, it's going to feel real weird. You know, I think it's going to feel great, but at first it's going to feel real weird. You know, I can't wait to those days. You know, I wish they were tomorrow.
The reason I haven't gone to a show yet is that for me it's going to feel weird to go to something like that and have everybody cover it up and doing the social distancing thing. That would be the weird thing for me. I don't know how it would react to be in a big group of people not wearing masks, but it might be. Yeah. But that was kind of one of the reasons I've been waiting, is like I kind of want to wait for things to get back to more normalcy where it's not everybody has to like stand and wait in line outside and like, you know, just like just all that part of it.
And I think it depends on where it is. I think Daytona seemed like it was pretty wide open. You know, I mean, I saw the lines there. There was no distancing. And I did see, although I think they were supposed to be masks, most of the pictures I saw, like 80% of people didn't have masks, and which was awesome. I mean, I liked seeing that stuff. You know, I'm not that I'm, discouraging people being smart, but at the same time, there's a point where it's like, let's get back to it, and so Daytona seemed good, but that's Florida, and that's why I was a little surprised that Arlington didn't go off a little better, because it's Texas,
that's weird.
I can't do it in California. I know Rami is trying to shoot for January. I really hope that he does, because that Super Show is iconic. That's probably the last giant show that happened, right?
That January Anaheim show.
That's probably the last giant show, because Daytona was big, but that's not Anaheim or Pomona. I mean, that's not the Super Show. So it means we're coming up on a year since there's been a giant show. So
I think
it goes off.
Like the three of us around this table, especially, I think we all have a similar perspective when we go to a reptile show, that we're like not really there to like sell some baby snakes to some people or whatever. That's we all have other ways of doing that.
Sure.
And we're all successful at doing that. We're really there to meet somebody that maybe knows us from online somewhere, and actually get a little bit, even if we're busy or whatever, but just to get that little bit of FaceTime, or to give them a handshake or a hug, somebody you haven't seen in a while. And that's...
Don't say it. Don't say it. I know what you're thinking right now.
I'm just going to start drinking.
What's he thinking?
He's thinking Bill Clinton right now. But boy, let's save that for another podcast.
We did save that. We definitely saved that for another podcast.
Yeah. So I do agree with you, though. I go for the social thing now. I haven't vended a reptile show in 4 years. I think it's been maybe even 4.5 years.
Really? Yeah. I'm surprised by that. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I just pulled out of shows. I sold all my showcases and everything. I can't do a show if I wanted to. I mean, I'd have to buy all my backdrop. Everything's gone. That's
crazy. Because for me, like, I've been doing shows my whole life.
Sure.
I didn't grow up with like a reptile mentor, a community or anything like that. So the reptile shows for me was an opportunity to finally be around like my people.
Sure.
And you had permanent fixtures all the time. So like you were one, or like back then Kevin, a lot of times. And then there's a lot of guys that I don't even see at the reptile shows, because a lot of old school guys are, a lot of them are just too old now. You know what I mean? They're just not doing the big traveling thing anymore. But it was pretty strange for me, like, because Kevin McCurley didn't go to a lot for a long time.
Yeah, he pulled out for a long time.
And Jay used to do more shows, but then he doesn't. I mean, he only does the ones that are right around him.
He actually came up to the. So remember, I was talking to you the other night. Garrett Zumed put on that first expo in San Luis Obispo County, which they barely got out. It somehow magically happened because it was city something, because it had already been voted for national emergency. You know, Tinley had already been shut down.
Yeah,
and this was after that, and he still had his show.
That's crazy. So was it the same weekend or was it the?
It was the. Was it? It was the same weekend because they invited me to come.
Because we had the Reptarium open that same weekend too. So we skirted in at that last minute too, where it was like kind of like things are shutting down, but not quite yet. And then Monday it was like you're done.
Yes, you're right. It was the same because instead of going to Tinley, I went back home, and because they had wanted me to come. Like I had been invited to come to that show and like do a thing, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be at Tinley. Like and then so I came back. I went to it. But Jay was there. My point is that Jay was at that show with the setup and like.
Yeah,
at that SLO County
with
show,
the whole setup and everything.
Up in our county.
Well, I think it still counts as kind of a local show day. Like if you're within like a 1 day drive.
Yeah. Still like yeah. I don't know. For me, it was just there's a whole host of reasons why I stopped going to reptile shows. You know, some was the kind of hatred. Other things were that I was just shifting my business model tremendously. And obviously our online business is a monster, I mean, that's, I mean, we're very, very, very blessed to, if you Google snakes for sales, reptiles for sales, geckos for sales, ball pythons for sales, you name we're in the top 2, 3 at the most, mostly top 1, right. And that's a spot that we're very, very lucky to get to, and so, so our online sales are just great. We just don't need to go to, so it's like I've always said to people. So if I sell, let's say a banana ball python for $250 on my website, why would I want to go to a reptile show, pay all the expenses, the stress on the animal, all that other stuff, and sell it for $150?
See, and the stress on the animals is the big thing for me too, because I sell all our stuff online. Actually, we don't even sell online. Yeah, we sell out of our, like, I haven't actually posted a classified for a reptile since I started. Wow. But we sell, the point is we sell the stuff easy enough.
Yeah, without having to go to shows. The other thing is this is interesting. I stopped getting mites when I stopped doing reptile shows.
That's it too. This year has been so nice.
Yeah. Like literally, I don't care how clean your collection is. If you go to a reptile show, unless you have a separate room for quarantine and those animals go into that quarantine room and get treated for mites, you will bring mites back if you do 5 shows a year. Yeah. If you do 5 shows a year, one of those shows you're going to get mites on your stuff because they're nomadic. The mites can travel up to 10 feet in a night. They're nocturnal as well. Right. So like, if that guy two aisles over has mites, you're going to probably get them by the end of that weekend. And so that was the way we really eradicated our situation as well. When we stopped going to reptile shows, we just didn't have mites anymore.
I'm surprised you don't get an issue just having like the open facility, because you have obviously people with reptiles coming here.
We talked about that, so BHB hasn't had mites in 5-6 years. We talked about the Reptarium. We went about 8 or 9 months. Every animal in the Reptarium had never had mites, right? We went about 8 or 9 months, and then all of a sudden a couple popped up. And we know that it had to be people brought them in. And so now what we do is we do literally a weekly preventative treatment of the entire place. So every week we do spray downs to the cages, remove the animals, spray down the cages every single week. And that's the only way we can keep mites out, of the Reptarium. Because, we're open to the public. People, there's a reptile shop literally, down the street that is kind of, I don't want to shit talk anyone, but I mean, it's notorious.
Too late.
No, I mean, it's just everyone knows that it's got a lot of mites, it's got a lot of dirty, and a lot of times, people come in and they're like, oh, I'm going to the Reptarium, I'll stop at this reptile shop first, or after, or whatever the case is, and I hear a lot of people will come in and go, I stopped at this place, and I'm like, man, that was crazy, and I'm like, did you hold anything? Because I don't think I want to let you in. You know what I mean? But you can't, and as well
just
as people.
Just do the preventative spray down on
Yeah. Like as you walk through, there should be Prevenamite just spraying everybody as they come through the door. But that's just going to happen. I mean, with the system we have. But we've learned that now if we preventatively treat weekly our cages, we haven't had any issues since, so, but it's a pain in the butt. It's expensive because I'm going through a lot of Prevenamite every week. Sure. And we're not doing it because we think there is, we're doing it because we just assume there could be, so let's just go ahead and eradicate the thing.
Well, that's in the name, right? Preventamite.
We're prophylactically treating is basically what it is. So, but because you can't get away from that. That's just impossible when you're open like that.
I guess your number there. That's why I've lucked out because I've only ever brought animals to 2 shows a year. I've never brought back mites, but I didn't hit the 5 number. So if I hit that 5 number, I'd have been bringing them back.
I don't know if it's 5 or whatever it is, but there is. I mean, and I guess the quality of show too. I mean, I think like
I've only brought animals to Rami's show.
Yeah, I would think
just
that
because they're California.
Yeah, and I would think that most of the bigger shows, there's probably a less chance. But when you start going to Hamburg and White Plains and I love those shows. I'm not bashing those shows at all. I'm just saying those shows, the quality of vendors and quality of animals isn't quite as high.
What can happen? I mean, you can't like. It's almost impossible to screen every single animal that comes into a show.
Yeah, and it's not. That's no bash on the promoter. It's just a reality. You know what I mean? And,
my dad, that first show we came to, the first show when I met you, my dad was there with me too, and he ended up picking up a Tara Humara king snake, but I wasn't with him when he got it, and he brought it back to the room. He didn't really know what he was doing or what to look for. He brought it back to the room. It was just riddled with mites. I was like, Dad. We took care of it. We got rid of him, and that snake. He still has that snake to this day, doing fine.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But
yeah, that happens. It happens. Is so. But yeah, so that's one of many reasons why I stopped doing reptile shows. I mean, we just don't need to anymore, but I miss the social side of it. The social side is what really, like hanging with you guys. Friends. Yeah. It's like that's the stuff that I miss a lot. You know,
a big part of what you built here now is like you're bringing it to you. Like you have a big reason for people to come here and do the social thing here.
And that was the thing that I was hoping would happen. And COVID killed that, at the beginning, because the original Reptarium was smaller, you guys know, and it was still cool. But now that I have more space, and then we're talking about obviously doubling that space now in 2021, it gives more people reasons to say, hey, I got to go check it out. Plus now they can come and like us, you can use our podcast room. You can, do your, filming. You can do whatever, it's like,
thank you, by the way.
No.
This is easy. Brian was excited to know what it was like to be me on a podcast. It just shows up and be like, whatever, let's drink.
Let's just go.
Yeah, I do all the work. I'm like, cutting stuff afterwards, hitting it, it's all, he just gets to, I'm finally getting to feel what that feels like to do that on our own podcast.
If I get irritated when we podcast from opposite ends of the country, because I'm like, hold on, I'm still setting up, and he's like,
come on, no. Well, that was the thing that we didn't want to make podcasting a chore, and so we wanted to do it to where it was like we could just come in, flick a switch, and let's rock, and that's it does change there was a period of time when we were starting to podcast where we were experimenting with different material, like gear and stuff like that, and we were having lots of issues, because again, we stream live, and then we were trying to go to a system where we could stream live and do Skype or Zoom, and that's difficult. Right, unless you use something like StreamYard, which the problem with it is you're just not going to get good quality, right? I mean, if you want to have a quality, podcast, so we were, using gear that was like pretty expensive. I mean, like several $1,000s for the initial unit, almost like a little computer, and we just kept on having issues after issues, and it got to a point where like podcasting wasn't fun. You know what I mean? It was like a pain. It's like I'd sit down here in a half hour before we're starting. My anxiety would be through the roof because I'm like, are we even going to be able to go live? Because we're like, is this going to work? And so we worked really hard to get to a point where we're like, hey, we just flip a switch and we can rock, and it makes it fun because now you don't have to worry. You just have good time.
I definitely I'm working through that because when I do the ones on SnakebytesTV now, I'm doing that live and I'm bringing people in via Zoom.
Doing it well too. I was impressed. I told you, I texted you. I was like,
so what's your system there?
OBS.
Yeah, OBS. Yeah.
Which is, I always say that if you had the bandwidth and the CPU power, that you could broadcast a Super Bowl with OBS. Yeah. Just because all the different options
we
have.
We looked at. We were looking at that as well. And that might be something that we will have to talk to you more about. Because we Anthony, Jay, everyone we looked at OBS. Noah's used OBS before. So who knows? I mean, maybe we'll do that.
The great thing is it's free too.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost $1. You just download it and it's an amazing software for free. It's crazy.
Yeah. So regardless, we just want to have fun with it. But like you said, we're hoping we can have a place where people. Downside is we're in Detroit. We're not like in LA. We're not in New York. We're not in even Chicago for that matter. So it's a little bit off the beaten path. But
you see a lot of upsides for that right now.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, it's true too. And but it's again, as you guys know, you both have been here a bunch. The area is awesome. Everything you can actually want, from hotels to food to entertainment, and when things are coming back around, everything is like right here. So it's a really cool town, far enough from the city that it's super safe, but close enough to the city. If you want to pop in the city, you can go and hang out in the city, and you can get to it. So yeah, hopefully people will come. And that was the whole idea, is to have a place where people come hang out, have a good time. Like your experience, to jump in with my anaconda, do whatever you want to do.
What a freak! That was literally the most. I told you, this is the most amazing experience I've ever had with a snake ever. Having that, just the way she came, and like as you described it was going to happen. That was a great thing. If you hadn't told me that's the way she's going to act,
you thought you were going to
I would have freaked out. I would have thought okay, this is I'm not safe here.
Yeah, when you get a big anaconda that is literally like coming up at your face, just like looking
she's not
like
shy.
Yeah, it's like she's looking like she's ready to pounce on you, but she's not. She's just literally curious, and I like you said, I have never, in the 32 years I've done snakes, had an animal that has acted like her ever. Where she crawls to you in complete curiosity, like she just wants to know what's going on with you. You get in her cage, and that's why I told you from the beginning, go in there and be quiet. Like, you know what I mean? Don't go get her. Let her come to you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you told me that, because I would have come on, let's go. And I just waited. Yeah. And then sure enough, she came right over the top of the waterfall. I was sitting right in front of the waterfall, and she just came right over the top, just super slow, tongue flicking, coming at me like the slowest thing possible. And then right when she was doing that, Hillary called me on FaceTime, my wife, and because my daughter was crying because she missed me. She's like, oh, Daddy, I miss you. I was like, Leah, look, Anaconda is coming right for me right now. She's just like, what? I was like, yes, worked.
So obviously you guys are having like the lion's share of that experience, but I'll tell you something that was really cool. I walked up, a minute later, and there's one thing to me, it's always amazing to me as a reptile keeper, like anytime a new baby hatches or something like that, or you get, like, I recently found a wild timber rattlesnake, which is my first one.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's that cool experience.
Yeah.
And you get that little geek out moment. Or I was talking to Haley, your buddy, the rattlesnake researcher upstairs, and you came in right at the end of that conversation, Brian.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God, we were like, she's a super freak. This is awesome. I don't get to have these. But what was really cool to me was you were watching Ivy, your anaconda, right as she was coming up to Cusco's face. And you were like, can you believe this, Garrett? Like seriously, when was the last time you saw an anaconda that acted like that? And I could see that little like spark in your eye that I still get all the time, where it's like, look at this, look at it. And it wasn't even you experienced anything. You were just getting to live vicariously through Brian Cusco in that moment.
Well, that's it. I'll be honest with you. I get so much pleasure out of seeing people come into the Reptarium and experience, and with you, it's like, that was a great experience for you, but you've done some pretty cool shit with reptiles.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But with the guy that comes off the street that has never touched a reptile ever, and he walks in and he gets to do something, maybe not like get in with Ivy, but does, whether it's hold a cow reticulated python or see, feed, we allow people to feed, the 5-foot, water monitor and alligators. I mean, to these people, it's like, for me, like, I love feeding our alligators. Well, I don't feed them. We let people feed them, but I chaperone them, and it's like, it's insane to think for normal people to walk in and feed an alligator is like ridiculous. You know what I mean?
In
it's
Detroit,
like, it's like they never thought they could ever get this close to an alligator in their life. And so I see them having that experience, and I almost get more joy out of that than me doing it myself. With alligators, I fed so much, I don't, it's pretty routine. But to see them, it's like, I just see that, especially sometimes little, 5-year-old kids. And at first they're so afraid because they're like, oh my God, that alligator's going to hurt me. And they've got long tongues and, they're far away. But you after one or two, because we feed 5 pieces of meat to each alligator for a feeding. And at the end, they're just like, just so geeked. And I just think, like, they go, I know, again, last night, Luke from Vancouver, Washington, came in. He's about 12 years old. And
Tony.
Tony? I thought it was Luke.
I'm going to say Tony.
Tony?
I'm going to say Tony.
Really?
We'll have to go back and look at the
Oh my
podcast.
gosh, I'm gonna have to because I just did a little piece calling him Luke. So
Sorry, you got time to re-record it if needed.
I'm gonna. Thank you for telling me that, because now I'm gonna have to really go back and look at it. Jay, just keep that in mind. But you might be right now that I mention it, but or you mention it. But the point is that, he came in and like he came all this way, flew in just for the Reptarium, from Vancouver, Washington, and it was his birthday, and was it smart for me to I have no idea, but he wanted to see Lucy, my big 20-foot retic. And she could be a little bit cantankerous, but you've messed with her. She's pretty predictable.
She's very predictable.
Very predictable.
Way more predictable than a lot of different retics I've seen. And and you had the head way far away from her.
Yeah. So, I mean, I made sure we were in good shape and stuff like that. But he got in the cage, and he was able to kind of feel. She was now up in a tree, so there's no way she could turn around and bite him. And now he's got a full body. He's doing stuff. And then ultimately we did some other things. But I just think to myself, like, that kid is going to talk about that for the rest of his life.
Dude, to that point, the fact that you have this play, the fact that you can have the experiences are available here to have that. Me, somebody who's grown up with snakes and gone traveling the world finding snakes, awesome adventures finding snakes, that I can have the best experience I've had with a snake ever, that I can have that to your point, like the layman that walks in, like the things they can experience here.
It's a blessing, and we just got to keep going. I'm just, like I said, that's why I'm so passionate about this, and it's hard for me to have focus on much else in life. You know what I mean? Like I still love breeding snakes. I still love BHB. I still love I love hatching snakes. I mean, I love seeing what comes out of the egg. As a matter of fact, it's actually an interesting thing now, because I completely breed snakes for a hobby. Like, I like you guys know.
How weird is that? Whereas most people listening are like, yeah, of course you breed snakes for a hobby, but it's like, no.
No, but
past that you almost.
I always tell people, like, back in the day, even 6 years ago, let's say you had a sunset clutch, right? And you have 5 eggs, let's say it's sunset to het, and you're like, man, I hope I produce 3 sunsets at least. If you produce 1, you're depressed. If you produce 5, you're like on top of the world. Now I don't care.
Yeah.
I literally don't care, other than just like, oh, I wish I would have produced more. Like, there's no like financial attachment at all to the clutch. You know what I mean?
So you can
like,
have fun again.
Every clutch I cut does not matter what I hatch.
I had to do this same thing because me, I'm like, Brian was you've been counting how long it takes me to mention Superdwarfs.
Oh,
I'm all Superdwarfs.
What is a Superdwarf? I don't know what that is.
Oh,
is it? I think that's a show on TLC, right?
No. I don't think we call him that anymore. He's being politically incorrect. I think
they're little people, super little people.
Right. Here we go.
Willow. Like Willow was one of my favorite.
Willow. Exactly. Will. Yeah. Okay. So so talk about
Brian. So reach out Reptiles. I'm going to need you to subscribe. Anyways.
Gotcha.
But no, so for me, it's all like, and I love the animals. I love the breeding, and they are what I'm passionate about. So that's what I work with. But recently, and I know you know him, Warren, who breeds the African house snakes.
Yeah. One Climb.
Bushveld.
One Climb. Yep. Yeah. Great guy. Love that dude, man.
So I went and got like kind of a maybe a little bit ridiculously extensive collection of African house snakes off him.
Good.
Just because all I do is dwarf and super dwarf retics. There's no other species in there.
Yeah, and
except
then
for my kids
African
have some
snakes. Yeah.
Yeah, just so that I could have that.
Yeah.
The hobby side of it.
Yeah.
Because there is still like business attached to the super dwarfs for me.
Sure. Yeah.
So it. I don't know.
Although I think I'll be honest with you, I know you're maybe doing the house snakes for fun. I think there's a business side to that too. I looked at when Warren was wanting to sell those.
For sure, I
looked at them because I think they're one of the most underrated snakes out there.
And all it would take is somebody to champion them to make them awesome. Which exactly. I think Warren is secretly hoping I'm gonna do a little bit of that. But for me, I'm like, hey, let me just send you all the babies.
Yeah, you did a video at his house back in the day. Is that accurate?
I did. Yeah. Warren and Nicole were basically what they would call showrunners for Brian the Wild. So they basically lined up about 50% of the locations and stories that we shot in Africa. So I stayed right. Well, I didn't stay on their property. I stayed on their neighbor's property for like 5-6 days, and then they came up to up into Bella Bella at a place called Jakudu. They came and stayed with me for 4 or 5 days. So we spent about 10 days in Africa together filming. And Warren is I mean, Nicole is amazing because she's like super organized. But Warren is just a great reptile person. I mean, he's truly, truly gifted with what he does. And so I looked at those African house snakes, but when he was like, he needed to downsize because they had a kid and, you know, moved here and all this other stuff. But it just didn't make sense for me because I'm like moving in a different direction. The last thing I want to do is upsize into a new project that I have to work on.
They're
when
prime though. They have they have got the locality side. They've got, because like you were mentioning Bella Bella, that's one of the localities I have. And then they've got the morph side, and they really are. They're colubrids, but they're like a mini python. They remind me so much of Antaresia.
They are a lot like an Antaresia.
So the way they look, the way they act, everything.
Yeah, I don't even know how they're a colubrid, really, when you look at them. You're like, how is that a colubrid? You
Just
know what
because
I mean?
colubrid is like the other box at the bottom. There's cobras and vipers and pythons.
I think you're right. I mean, it would be kind of analogous to how like a puff adder is like a death adder in Australia. It's almost like house snakes are the Antaresia of Africa.
Yeah, they really are.
I'm surprised that they would be classified into a colubrid category.
So Warren was excited because I was getting into those, and then I'm all excited because he's getting into the superdoors now. So
nice.
I'm showing my snake ignorance here, but do all pythons have the vertical pupil and not the round pupil? Is that accurate?
Well, the house snake have verticals, don't they? Or do they have rounds?
I think they're round.
Are they round? Okay. Yeah, the only house snakes I have at the moment is I have the black ones. And their eyes
That's
are
one
so
of the
black.
few that I didn't get.
Oh, I love them. I'll have to show you, man. You'll love them.
I'm sure I will.
They're like little miniature Mexican black kings.
Yeah,
I mean they're freaking cool. Especially when you get the real black ones. We have a few pair of like jet black ones. You know, they look just like Mexican black kings, but they're smaller, higher production. You know, just a smaller snake. They're just a cool animal.
You've got. Going back to the old snake bites days, man. The
Barczyk, you win. They are vertical.
Yeah, I thought they were vertical. Yeah, I thought they were vertical. Yeah,
that's very unusual. Yes.
Yeah.
For a colubrid, am I incorrect?
Well, a lot of colubrids do have
like
round
the night
pupils,
snakes
but you figure all the boega, have cat eyes. And stuff like
sure,
that.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean it goes back and forth.
It's just a nocturnal diurnal thing, I think. But.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I don't know what I'd love to know what the why something is a boidae or a pythonidae as opposed to a colubridae. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with heat pits or if it has to do with. I have no idea.
I think it's just people making stuff up. Mexican burrowing python.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah. Or you have the Calabar burrowing pythons that are actually a boa.
Right.
They're in the boidae family, but they lay eggs. You know, I mean they're
it's crazy.
You know, it's wild. Yeah, I love taxonomy.
You are untapped knowledge in a way. Like there's so many things that you know about, obviously the hobby and the history of it, but the just species and these little things about snakes. So every time we start talking about stuff like that, you always come out with this stuff I've never heard. As somebody who's watched so many of your videos, especially snake bites and all the different, educational knowledge you would put out there. Like every time we talk about snakes, like you just know these little things. It's in there.
So I've known you before, like the big social media craze.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I think most people know you from social media.
Yeah.
These days.
Yeah, they don't realize that. Yeah, I was doing reptiles for almost 15 years before.
Barczyk is basically like what Jay Leno is to cars, where he's like, oh, cool, it's a 38 Bugatti. Yeah, the headlights are wrong, though. Those must have been replaced. That's from the 69.
I think that's, there's a couple things. Number one, I've never wanted to portray myself as someone that is elitist. We were talking last night about this. So I don't use scientific names, Latin names very often, even though I know them all, you know what I mean? I not all of them, but I know most of them. And I love reading about like all the crazy stuff about reptiles. I'm a student of everything I do, right? No matter what it is, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or reptiles, I'm a student. I love learning. And so, and I think it's just a matter of quantity too. I mean, just when you do something for 32 years, you're going to have a lot of knowledge, and that's why I always talk about, listen, I never poo-poo an 18-year-old kid that is passionate about reptiles. I'm never going to, because number one, I was that 18-year-old kid. Back in that day, people didn't take me serious because I was a kid. That being said, when an 18-year-old kid challenges my knowledge, it's a little bit upsetting. You know what I mean? You may think you know a lot, but I can guarantee you I've forgot more than you know. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not an insult to them, because one day they'll be the same thing I am, but it's going to take a long time. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one thing I think I've learned about people who are just getting in and they're really excited and they're young and they're maybe a little bit ignorant, but they've learned a few facts and stuff. I think a lot of times they come into, and so like younger guys, if you're listening, this would be my perspective, and I don't know if you share this or not, but they come in and they just actually really probably do respect you, but they want to prove themselves to you. Like, if I can impress Brian Barczyk, or if I can know that, like, you know, like that house snakes have round pupils instead of slit pupils or something, and he didn't know that somehow gives me some validation that I'm, you know, getting to know some things about reptiles.
It's certainly possible, but I just think there's also that like entitlement that comes sometimes with not. I mean, listen, I meet tons and tons of very young, very passionate, very knowledgeable reptile keepers, but they should always also realize that, you know, nothing beats experience. You know what I mean? That's period. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, you know, when people are like, how did you learn all of those ball python morphs? You know what I mean? Like, how do you know when you're cutting an egg that's a cypress, blah, 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 blah. And I said,
was there for all the first
ones.
Yeah,
you're just there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like if I came into the ball python world now, I'd be lost.
Right.
You know, but I was there for the first ones, and the experience, and it's not just ball pythons. I mean, it is funny, right? Because a lot of people, because of snake bites and because of online, really always said, you know, that I was a ball python person. I remember once, I did an interview with this. It was kind of a gotcha interview, as a matter of fact, and it was when I was doing the Discovery Channel show, Venom Hunters, and I told Discovery when they reached out, their PR reached out to me and said, hey, this I can't remember, I really can't even remember who it was, but it was like, this person wants to do an interview for this you know, magazine, whatever. And I told Discovery right off the bat, I said, it's a gotcha interview, you know that, right? I said, they're going to be against what we do. And they go, well, we think we should do it anyways. I said, all right, if you want to do it. They said, we'll have our publicist on the phone with you as you're doing the interview just to protect it. And I go, that's fine. I said, I can probably hold my own, but I'd like to have a Discovery publicist on the phone with me. That'd be great. First thing out of her mind is she says, how does a ball python guy become a venomous expert? And my response to her right off the bat was, well, you must not have done your research, because I'm not a ball python guy. I said 80% of my collection isn't ball pythons, and I kept my first venomous snake when I was 17 years old. I said, but now let's go on with the interview, right? And the whole interview was a gotcha interview. They were trying to discredit what I was doing. Ultimately, my point is that it's a TV show, right? It's not real, right? You know, don't think I'm actually trying to become a venomous expert. You know, and that was the weird thing about that Discovery show, is that you had some venomous experts that were really like upset that they thought I was trying to become a venomous expert. I was never trying to become a venomous expert. I was just doing television, right? You know, that's all. That's all it was. You know, it was all for TV, and people that think TV is real are crazy. Nothing on TV is real, right?
I'll tell you what. I think a lot of people would say
nothing. Nothing. Trust me.
Well, you know, I just found out one of my YouTube videos is on TV in South Africa from Haley.
Oh shit!
It was a video with her. We were going out with them doing the rattlesnake research in the field,
nice.
And she's like, Brian, people are calling me from South Africa. I mean, Haley, we saw you on African TV.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So there are some real things on TV. Maybe not in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's why I like British TV. I watch a lot of British TV on Netflix, because it's like, you know, it's funny. Chewy was obviously, my guy was on Venom Hunters, and he said it ruined him for television. He's like, I can't even watch television anymore, you know, because it's kind of like sausage, right? You don't want to know how they make it. Just eat it. Just eat it, you know? It doesn't bother me. And it's not that the premise is all, like, listen, when we were catching snakes, it was real. I mean, when I was, you know, had a king brown snake or a taipan, I mean, that was legit. That thing could kill me. But the whole story behind, was I really trying to become a venomous, you know, expert? Of course not. I had no interest in that. You know, I mean, I was just doing a television show for entertainment.
And this is the thing. And I picked up on this when you said it a little bit earlier. I think a lot of people would say, well, then why do you want to do that, Brian? Why do you want to be a part of something that's so fake or whatever it is? But you said something earlier that struck with me. You're saying that, you know, even though you know a lot of scientific names, you don't use them.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you know, what's pretty cool is I think you understand the important base of who's watching.
Yeah.
And you, with who you are and what you're doing, you knowing all the scientific names is not going to capture the hearts and imaginations of the next generation, which is really what you're all about.
That's all
you're talking
about.
about the kids feeding the alligator, or with Brian, it was anaconda, because for him that was new. Yep. I thought it was funny that you got that light in your eyes, because for you, it was just new for him, and it was like channeling through you. So I can see why you do it. Yeah. So when they say like, well, why do you do something like that? I think it's to capture the hearts and the minds of the next generation.
Right.
And people, actually, Haley, your buddy, said in that episode that you're talking about, I remember this. She said, it's so funny. If they actually filmed real science, nobody would watch.
No one would watch.
She did say that. So boring.
No, it's totally true. And the thing why I did Venom Hunters, actually, it was very simple. I thought that, and you got to remember, most television shows, and I've been involved, that was the only series I ever did, but I was involved in one-off shows quite a bit. And very rarely does the concept of what they pitch you actually turn into what they do, right? So I like the concept of Venom Hunters from the standpoint that, could we take something that everyone's afraid of and say, look at how valuable these things are. This is saving lives, Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, all these things. The king cobra venom is being used as one of the most powerful pain sedatives in the planet, and is an addictive, more effective than morphine, but non-addictive. So that was what drew me to them. And of course, I've now learned, and that's why I've turned down a lot of TV deals in the last 2 years, 3 years, a lot of TV deals, is because I've now learned that what they tell you on the phone, like, this is what it's going to be, is never what it's going to be. So you have to see the forest through the trees and say, okay, do I want to be involved? And I've said, quite frankly, that I would probably never do TV again. There is a potential project in the works right now that I might jump back into the fire with it. We'll talk more about that down the road. So because it's still just tentative, but there's very few projects I'd work on in television now, because you lose all control, right? Whereas YouTube, you control everything. Totally. You control the content, you control the edits, you control the release, you control comments, you control pretty much everything.
Literally everything.
And the only thing you don't control on YouTube, which you don't control on television, is how many people watch. You can't control that, how much YouTube serves to people.
Or how people are going to react to it.
Or how people are going to react to it. But on television, shows
you can control
change.
That a little bit. I like playing with the viewers sometimes. I set them up. I'm guilty.
But it's funny. Like, I shot a pilot for History Channel, maybe 10 years ago, and it was I had always said that if we ever did a show about a reality type show about our business, our life, our family, it could work, because it's such a unique, unusual life. Not only what we do as Reptiles, but also the fact that I have my wife and my son involved and all this type of stuff. And at that time we had Crazy Crew with Chewy and all kinds of other things. And so we, sure enough, we had a production company, really big production company that was trying to, they shot this sizzle reel, and it was called Reptiles Dysfunction, is what it was called. Reptile Dysfunction was what they were pitching. They went to this summit that was called Real Screen. Real Screen is like the largest video a television summit in the world, and it's where all the executives from Discovery down to History to you name it, all the executives go to Real Screen, and then all the major production companies go and they pitch all their ideas. It happens in February, and then there's one in the summer as well. Probably 80% of television, it used to be, this year may be different because of COVID, but used to be bought at one of this Real Screen summits. And so we went to Real Screen. We didn't, but my production company went with this sizzle reel that they shot, Reptile Dysfunction, and like 8 networks wanted to buy it. Ultimately, History was really popping off at the time. Pawn Stars was really big. There was a few other shows on that was like, so History Channel was like the highest rated network. And so sure enough, History bought a pilot, the pilot, Reptile Dysfunction. And didn't go to series, which you really want when you do television. You want them to go right to series, 6-part, 10-part series. But they were willing to purchase a pilot, And so somewhere along the way, this Reptile Dysfunction pilot turned into, well, you know what? We should do something different here. We should do Deadliest Catch type thing where it's not just about BHB. We've got 3 other people, like, almost like the 3 boats in Deadliest Catch, right?
3 reptile
So, but it wasn't going to be
to
reptiles. They didn't want 3 reptiles or 4 reptile people. They wanted 4 animal people. somehow the powers that be decided that it would be good to have a reptile company, and then the other people would be a guy that hunted cougars, a guy that hunted wolves, and a guy that hunted bears up in Alaska or something like that. And it's like, and so ultimately they shot our part, and then they shot the other 3 parts, and they meshed them together. And I saw the pilot. And it was like you put a Snake Bites episode in the middle of a hunting show. Like, it made no sense, And so ultimately what ended up happening was History got the pilot and said, this is what, now History is the one that decided, the executive producer decided to go in this direction. They came back and said, we hate the wolf guy, the bear guy, and the cougar guy, but we really like the reptile guys. And so they said, we're going to do one of 3 things. We're going to either recast the other 3 into something else. We're going to go just reptile dysfunction with this one family, or we're just going to shit can the whole thing. And they shit can the whole thing. Yeah. But that's the problem with television, right? Is that, they buy something, reptile dysfunction, they screw it up, and then at the end they go, wow, you know what? We liked it the way we like it the way we should have bought it that way. And that's the same thing that happened with Venom Hunters, quite frankly, is that when we signed on for Venom Hunters, Chewy and I were supposed to be the main 2 guys. And then there were supposed to be a few other teams that were offshoots. And then somehow an executive producer, a guy named Kyle Wheeler for Discovery, decided that Tim the Wildman Fitzer should be the main guy. And then ultimately when the show rated okay, not great, but okay, not good enough to get renewed, the focus groups came back that everyone hated Tim Fitzer. And I actually met with Discovery after, because they flew me out there and had a meeting with them, and we still have a good relationship with the network now. They literally said, well, listen, I said, we focus group this, and they said, you and Chewy focus group great, everyone else focus group terrible. And I told them, I said, listen, I'm going to teach you a little bit about television right now. I said, when you do television, you want to be one of 2 things. You either want to be the guy that's like, man, I'd like to go and have a beer with that dude. Or you want to be the guy that's like, I'd like to punch that motherfucker in the face, right? What you don't want to be is Tim Fitzer, I want to change the channel, right? That's what you don't want to be. And that's what he was. So that tells you all the wisdom of television, and why it's so tricky.
Pure genius.
So I think TV is changing.
Of course.
COVID, I mean, TV is like hardly even a thing now. It's all subscription-based watching. And stuff.
I don't even know what TV is anymore.
And then the new networks are companies like Netflix, or,
Hulu, and Apple TV.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then you have people like the Peacock trying to stay alive in the middle of that. You know what I mean, by shifting.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting to see the world evolve. Okay. Yeah. One thing that Cusco and I talk about all the time in our lives as we talk, and we're friends, and we talk with our families. Hey, how's Hillary? The kids, ask him first thing I asked when I saw you yesterday. We've talked for years about like achieving a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And kind of like what we have.
Talking to the wrong guy here, buddy.
No, I think I'm talking to the right guy. So,
you're right. Yeah.
I want to ask you about this because, I mean, I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've got this Bell's palsy. Half my face doesn't work.
It's only temporary paralysis.
Yeah.
It made that joke killer last night, dude. Noah was on the ground. Oh, man.
Yeah. I can do certain impressions really well right now.
Yeah.
But before I knew that this was based on Lyme's disease, I was like, okay, what the heck is Bell's palsy? And everything was just like, you're pushing yourself too hard. And so to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, Yeah. But with the COVID thing going on, we're talking about the reptile shows and the change of everything, and I think it probably affected you in a more challenging way than it would somebody like us, like me and Brian, because all we do is either online or like out of our homes.
Right.
You have a public facility here. So you had a lot of challenges and things, and you and I have talked about some of the genius things that you've done, like virtual tours or like your hourly, the way you get people in hourly so that everyone gets a more intimate experience, stuff that you've learned during this time that will probably change the way you do it.
Forever.
But ultimately, I would love to ask you on a personal level.
Yeah.
So forget the TV stuff, the vlog, the Reptarium, all that kind of stuff. How and I don't know that anyone. I mean, Cusco's probably got this better figured out.
Is coming.
It is. That's the way I ask questions.
That's good. I'm
good. I mansplain
I'm following.
along the way.
I'm following it.
Cusco does this better than I do, maybe better than you do. But I'd like to ask you, where's the end goal in sight? Or like, how do you achieve that positive kind of like work and life balance where it can bring you happiness and not give you facial paralysis or an anxiety attack or something like that along the way, you know?
Well, no, it's a great question. And it's something that I probably have been, more in tune, and we've talked a lot about this on the phone before. And now since you've been here about, balance, as a matter of fact, my two wristbands here remind me of every day. And this is the white here is actually a drop of water from Mount Everest. And this is a piece of mud from the Dead Sea. And it represents balance in life.
High point to low point.
High point to low point. And I tell you what, yes, COVID affected me emotionally more than financially or business wise. It was it really put me into one of the worst anxiety states that I had ever been in my life. One time about 20 years ago, I had a real bad bout with anxiety that lasted almost a year. I'm coming out of about a 7-month issue with it now. Of that 7 months, about 5 months were literally unlivable. I mean, like to the point where I was a shell of who I am. I mean, a shell.
And I think that's relatable. Not like for me, like I don't understand what that's like, but there are so many people who are going through that kind of stuff right now.
Well, mental health has always been something that I've been very aware of, and because I've had anxiety issues my whole life, but like, I push myself through those anxiety issues. But when you get into an anxiety break, like I had shortly after COVID hit, now you're just hanging on. So I've told people for 4.5, maybe 5 months, I existed. I did not live 1 minute. Not 1 minute was I alive. I was just existing for 4.5 or 5 months. Every minute, thankfully I had people like Jay, my camera guy, that literally days held my hand through the day. I mean, minute by minute, not hour by hour, but minute by minute. And I had a lot of great people around me that supported me. But like you said, from a business standpoint, we pivoted quickly because that's what I do. I'm a problem solver and I pivot. And we financially were fine. As a matter of fact, most of our business were thriving exponentially. But the Reptile was the only one we had to pivot pretty hard and to figure out what's the new way, And I saw a lot of my friends that had businesses that didn't change at all and just were like, oh, this sucks. And I'm like, well, if it sucks, figure out how to change.
Right.
There's opportunity.
The victims of the market.
Yeah,
it's
like, you can either sit back and feel sorry for yourself or you could do something about it. And I did something about it, but that didn't help my anxiety and my mental state. So in life now, I'm working very difficultly to find balance. And that's probably the most difficult thing because why I'm anxious, why I'm driven, why I do the things I do is because of my demons, right? Those demons of I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be, smart enough, I'm never going to achieve anything. All those things, those are the demons I carry with me daily, and those are the demons that push me and motivate me to get better. I'm not good enough, I'm going to prove myself that I'm good enough. I'm not smart enough, I'm going to prove myself that I'm smart enough. The problem is that you're never going to achieve that goal. So somehow you have to mentally, and this is what I've worked on so diligently over the last 6 months, is you have to start to love yourself because honestly, and that's why I think it was always funny. One of the most interesting things that I when I heard negative things about me was when someone would say like I'm real arrogant, and I'm like, I don't even fucking like myself. You know what I mean? Like I think I'm a horrible. Yeah. I'm not smart. I'm not good. I'm not this. I
can relate to you on that aspect.
Yeah. And so it was interesting when people would somehow think I'm arrogant because I'm like, I'm as far from arrogant as you can get because I don't even think highly of myself. So I'm trying now to think highly of myself. It's not easy. It's not something that's easy at all.
I can feel it coming through you. I can feel the work you've done since I've been around you for the last 24, 48 hours. Like it literally, I woke up with the energy that you had, especially last night when we were chilling at the house and we were all like hanging out, doing the sauna, doing the cold tub. That was like fun. Your energy was so good.
Yeah.
It rubbed off because I'm very sensitive to people's energy around me. And it rubbed off me so hard. Like I woke up this morning still with it. Like woke up, I was like, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. Then I realized when I came and saw you, I was like, it's the energy you were putting out last night. It's still running in through my body.
I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate because I believe in that wholeheartedly is like having this positive mentality, this positive energy, and so I'm working on all of those things. That I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, I'm successful enough. I deserve success. Something I didn't think I deserved. You know, people might think that's weird, but 6 months ago, if you would have asked me, the thing that came out of my therapy that was the most like crazy to me was the fact that when my therapist asked me, do you think you deserve happiness? And do you think you deserve success? And I was shocked at how emotional I got over those two things. Like I had never realized. I didn't think I deserved happiness. I thought I deserved pain. Pain was my comfort zone, right? Anxiety was where I was safe. And I didn't think I deserved success or happiness or the things that I had. I'm still working on 100% getting to the point where I think I totally deserve that. I'm close. You know, I work hard. I deserve it. So that was a long-winded thing, but my point is that
almost as long as my question.
Yeah, almost as long as your question. But the point is that I think you know, balance is important. And this is I'll leave this topic on this point, is that if I went through close to 5 months of hell, as bad as you know, when people tell me, oh yeah, I have anxiety, some people do, but most people don't. Right. And you know, so when someone kills themselves, they're not dying or killing themselves because they don't want to live. They don't want to live with the pain of life, okay? There's a huge difference between those two things, right? I mean, right. Like waking up with the pain of depression or anxiety is so hard that you can't do it anymore. You give up, right? And it's not like, I mean, if you took someone that was suicidal and said, you don't have to feel the pain anymore, they'd want to live, right? And that's the difference. So the fact is, if I went through 4.5 or 5 months again for the second time in my life, and I didn't take something out of that, then why did I go through it? You know what I mean? Like I have to take out positive. And I have said this, and as I'm coming out of this and feeling more normal and feeling more myself, or new self, quite frankly, not my old self, a brand new self, I will be so grateful for those 4 or 5 months. Grateful for the rest of my life that I went through that pain, because it will make me who I am for the rest of my life. And that means that I have to find balance. And I have to find balance in life. I have to find balance in happiness. I have to find balance in the things I have around me, the happiness I have. And if I just work my life away, even if I love my work, you know, this is another question that my therapist asked me. If you weren't working, what would you want to do on your day off?
That's
I didn't have
a hard
an answer.
question for you. I know that because I've asked you that. I feel like
I don't know. I still to this day don't know the answer to that. Dead serious. If someone said, what would you want to do for fun tomorrow? You don't have to go to work. You can't go to work. You can't go to work tomorrow. What would you do? You can do anything.
I think luckily you do what you're doing is something that you really enjoy.
Well,
I mean,
that's the hard part. Is that
it
I
is
already
work,
do.
Though. It's the difference between the
is.
super doors and the house snakes for me. Like I don't want to sell them. I don't want to. You know what I mean? I want to.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's tough, man, because it's like Jay knows this. I told him this early on. And he sees it. Like I know this seems weird, but like I literally don't do anything I don't want to do. Like, so if there's something in one of my businesses I don't like, I just delegate that to somebody else. I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not doing that. You know, so I only do the things that I love. So it's hard when you go like, well, what would you want to do if you're not working? Well, it's like, well, all I want to do is work because this is what I love. But at the same time, from a mental health and happiness standpoint, you need balance. You know, you need balance. And I've rectified a lot of things. Like I sleep now. I sleep 7-8 hours a day. That used to never happen. I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. I obviously do sauna, cold tubs. I eat completely healthy.
Best thing ever for
yeah.
me. Oh
yeah.
God.
And so, I mean, I'm on this path that I think is amazing. And that's what I want to encourage. So now, but this is the other thing, guys. And I know that we're getting a little bit deep, but I also want to inspire people not just to love animals and follow their dreams, but I want to inspire people that deal with mental health that they can get better. This was my point, is that if you were as bad as I was, which, listen, I'm telling you, if you've got a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst you could be, I was a 9, so there's not much worse. You know what I mean? That's how bad it was. Yet I was able to still vlog every single day.
That's
I was able
crazy.
to I was able to build a ton of stuff, build podcast rooms. I was able to redo bathrooms. I was able to, and I wanted to show people that you don't, as a matter of fact, you shouldn't stop when you're in that spot, because you're not going to,
because then you don't have anything else except those demons that you're dealing with.
Right. And this is what I've said, is that it's analogous to if you were 50 pounds overweight, but you drank Coke and McDonald's every day, you can't expect yourself to lose weight, right? Well, if you are in a mentally bad spot, but yet you're not doing anything to better yourself, how do you think you're going to get better? I mean, Jay knows this, and he said it to me one time. He said, I've never seen anyone work harder to get better mentally than you. There was a time where 5 days a week I was going to 4 different therapists. 4 different therapists.
Wow.
And a massage therapist to boot. You know what I mean? Now, not everyone has the resources I have to spend that kind of money and to do all those other things. But there's self-help. There's, I was on top of that. I was, every book I could read and every anxiety YouTube channel I could find, on top of all that, I was committed to not only working and doing these things, but I was committed to getting better. And that's the only way I could get better, was to commit myself to get better. And I want to encourage other people that are suffering from anxiety and depression, especially in COVID season. A lot of people are struggling out there, and rightfully so. It's a scary time to be in this situation. I remember when really I started to fall off, I was a little anxious, and I remember sitting in my living room. And now you got to remember that I typically, when I work, I'm working from, 7, 8 in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at night. That's my typical day. Well, with COVID going on and not being open to the public and all these other things, I was getting home every day at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock by the latest every day, which was interesting, but it was definitely outside of my comfort zone. And so I was getting a little anxious. And I remember one day sitting in my living room, it was like 5:30, had the TV on, and trying to do whatever. And I remember the feeling coming over me, because the other thing you got to remember is that Michigan had the second highest rate of COVID. Right.
To New York. New York and Detroit, basically.
New York and Detroit. And so on the news was this, like, Detroit, is getting decimated. Their hospitals are filling up. People are dying left and right. So I'm sitting in my living room. I hear about Detroit. I'm in the city that this is happening at. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if half the city's going to die. I go outside. It's apocalyptic. There's not a car on the road. Every business is shut down. Wow. And I remember sitting in my living room at that point, and just the overwhelming feeling of, like, I can't escape this. There's nothing I can do to escape this, and that's when it went downhill. Like, literally within days, I was a shell of myself. Like, I started losing all sense of reality. And so my point is a lot of people are in the same spot. Some people have gotten better. Some people have gotten worse. And I want to inspire people that, listen, you can get better. I don't take medicine, right? So, I don't take antidepressants, anti-anxiety. I can't. I have a mutation that's called MKFR that is basically means I can't metabolize certain
Is that something you learned recently? Is that the reason?
Yeah, I learned this recently. And I've tried to take medicine over the years, and it's almost every medicine I take reacts really weird. That's why I
knew you had that, right.
Yeah, and I got tested, what do they call them? Darn it, I can't remember the doctors. Hormone doctors. I can't remember what the name of the actual technical name of a hormone doctor is, but I did blood work and they tested. She said, I think that, her name is Dr. Lyle. She said, I think you might have this mutation, just judging by what was going on. And not only did I have the mutation, I had a double version of the mutation. So the worst form of that mutation. That's why, like, you have to even be careful what, like, shampoo you use, because it can make toxicity in your body. You can't have homeostasis, right? So you have to be real clean and stuff like that. So anyways, point is, no big deal. Lots of people live with that mutation. It's no big deal. It's like a spider wobble, you can live with it.
Knowing somebody like you has been good for me. It helps me feel just blessed in my own life to somehow naturally. I've never dealt with any kind of anxiety anywhere near anything close to anxiety. I think maybe too much coffee, like way too much coffee one morning. I was like, is this what it's like?
Right,
like I have no idea. And I just have always had this way of being like, everything's good. Like even if it's just going really bad for me, like I'm like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like and I don't have to I don't have to try at it. Like so it makes me feel like.
I think you
blessed,
love yourself too in the way that Brian was talking about. Where I don't think anyone would ever say he's cocky or arrogant.
Right.
You know, no one would. Yeah, I don't know. Not like people. Like I mean, people who don't know me are like, Garrett, isn't that the guy that can't get through the doorway because his head won't fit? You know what I mean? Like, right.
Yeah.
So like, I get a lot of that too, just because I'm loud and confident and whatever. Right. But definitely like. I don't know. I can relate to everything that you're talking about. And even when you said like the big thing for you was like, I don't know that I deserve.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard.
And that's what I mean to hear you guys having that kind of feeling. Cause I don't know that feeling.
I had a little bit of a moment hearing you talk about your moment. So that was weird. The only thing that is different between you and me, and probably why I don't experience anxiety, is because I love the lack of control. That's my favorite thing in life.
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because anxiety sufferers. It's the most uncomfortable thing is to not be in control, right? Yeah. So like being in control is what causes you to feel safe, right? And one of the things that one of my therapists talks about is becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a very difficult thing for me. You know,
well, that sauna and cold tub is definitely a big help in that because that's like physically, it's a physical thing, but still, like you're dealing with being very, very uncomfortable and staying with it and being like, I'm okay with this.
Well, and those are all things that you practice and cognitive behavioral therapy and changing the way you think about things and do things, and but you got to practice it. You know what I mean? You got to practice it all the time. You know, and as you practice it slowly, the other thing is that you always want to delete zip files in your brain. You know, so one of my therapists said that with every anxiety moment is a wounded child, right? Huh. And so, if that wounded child, I'm not getting, I'm getting into this big.
No, I love it. This is great. This is like our favorite kind of podcast.
There's a lot of people that could really benefit from hearing.
So we all have a subconscious and a conscious, right? Oftentimes our child is the subconscious, right? And so anxiety, in particular anxiety and depression people, there is a saying that says that depressive people live in the future depressed people live in the past, anxiety people live in the future, right? So depressed people are always like, oh man, I was an abused child, I did this happened, and I can't get away from it. I can't leave it. This person died, whatever the case, I'm depressed. Whereas anxiety people are typically like, I'm worried about the future, I'm worried about the future, I'm worried about the future. But the truth is they're bedfellows, they're very, very close. So what happens is that people with anxiety like myself will apply results from the past. Let's say I go and I buy a reptile project and it failed horribly in the past. Now when I go to buy a next reptile project in the future, I don't say like, oh, this could work out. I say, oh, well, it worked out so bad in the past, it's going to work out bad again. Right? That's what anxiety people do. They apply the past zip files into the present and future of things. And you always anticipate the same results from something that happened in the past. So you have to literally stop that inner child from that subconscious, and you have to say, no, you can't think that the same thing is going to happen. And I do that a lot of times by saying, let's say like the OR, it's called like the OR therapy. It's like, so I'm going to buy this project and it's going to end up like it did in the past. Or it's going to not end up like in the past. Or it's going to be better. Or it's going to be great. And you keep saying or until you get to a point where it no longer feels like the past. Right? Wow. And these are like little therapy things that you go through but also, reframing those zip files from the past, those traumatic experiences from the past and turning them into at least livable moments, I carry around, you'll laugh about this, but I carry around a picture when I was 6 years old in my car. Okay. And the reason I do that is that was about the age when I started to feel unsafe in life, right? Because of an alcoholic.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't think anyone would laugh about that. I just wanted to do it because no one's gonna laugh at you for that. That was
yeah, exactly. It's like but no, I was 6 years old. I had alcoholic dad, abusive. My mom was erratic. Like very. They say like there's 3 types of parents. You're a parent, you know about this. There's the you can do anything you want parent. I'm not going to discipline you at all. You fucking run free and do whatever you want, parent. There's the parent that is very strict but very consistent. You do something wrong, there's going to be a repercussion. Lori fell in that category, right? Kids always knew what was going to happen. You
so
do something
far, I've
wrong.
fallen both in somehow. Okay. I'm literally in both right now.
Okay,
somehow.
So what's interesting enough, you may not want to hear this then, the worst category is the one that is unpredictable.
Well, but no, I'm strict about certain things.
Yeah, as long as there's predictability. So my mom was like, I'll give you an example. One time, my sister, this is so horrible. One time my sister sprayed a bunch of toilet spray, like the air freshener, and she blamed it on me, and my mom beat the shit out of me, right? For air freshener. That's
pretty unpredictable. Right. Yeah, I got you.
But yet I set my garage on fire, and my mom laughed. She thought it was funny. Like, it all happens. It's a mistake. It's fine, Unpredictability. And what they've done in studies is found that the kids that have either strict but predictable parents, or even the kids, they might be a little entitled that can run free, but they at least knew they could always run free. The parent that was unpredictable with every outcome, those are the people that dealt with the most.
Yes, I'm at least consistent with that. They know when they're doing something that they're going to get in trouble for, because they'll be looking over their shoulder for me.
And that's fine as long as it's consistent. It's like consistency. So I had, unfortunately. So anyways, my point is that 6 years old was when I felt the most unsafe. When I started feeling safe, and then I felt unsafe my whole life because of those moments. So I've had to go back to that 6-year-old Brian all the way through my childhood and try to reframe all those moments to safety. So these are things that people can do, but it takes work. I put sometimes an hour to 3 hours a day into mental health. Again, what are you going to do if you're 50 pounds overweight and you're eating McDonald's? You're going to stop eating McDonald's. You're going to go to the gym, and you're going to go to the gym and you're going to get results. Well, why would mental health be any different? You go to your mental health gym and you put in your time to get healthy, right?
Well, here's the thing about you, Brian, and I don't think you can help but to do this. Okay. Here's who you are. You're pushing very hard, and you've done this in a lot of different areas of your life, and you're taking stuff to the next level everywhere you go. And now you're doing it as you're trying to get better mentally. Yeah. And you're taking hours a day, who knows how much money, all this kinds of time and everything like that, and doing that. And that's why you're like, I don't know if we need to be getting this deep in this podcast or whatever, but I think we do, because it's allowing you to be who you are, which is you take things to the next level, you learn information, and then you make it palatable and digestible for the rest of us. And that's what you're doing in this podcast right now.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think it's important, because I know there's going to be someone that listening, maybe one person, maybe multiple people, or maybe someone listening that knows someone that needs to hear this, And it's not hopeless. It's never hopeless. It's never hopeless. And like I said, unfortunately, I wish I could take a pill and just be feeling great, But in a way, it's better that I can't, because, taking a pill does just mask the problem. Yeah. You've got to get to the root of the problem. But I'm just saying that whether you have depression or anxiety, you don't have to live with that, I had a therapist that told me, she just said, Brian, I think we can get you almost better. You'll still have some anxiety, but you're going to be almost normal. And I said, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. I want to be 100% better, not 98% better. Yeah. It's only acceptable if I'm 100% better. And so I found the people that believed I could get 100% better. And those were the people that I dealt with, As a matter of fact, I'll give a shout out to one of my guys, the anxiety guy on YouTube, literally YouTube channel called The Anxiety Guy. His name is Dennis.
We'll put a link down below.
Yeah, tremendous guy. If you are dealing with anxiety, depression, anything like that, you need to listen to his message, because he's the only therapist that I've ever been to. And I ended up doing weekly sessions with him. I was so impressed with his videos. First, I just watched a ton of his videos. And then became so impressed, I was like, I got to reach out to this guy. And he said, yeah, I actually offer weekly sessions. He's in Vancouver, Canada, so it was over Skype. And it was the first therapist that didn't say, well, we're going to keep working on this. He was like, this is what we're going to do, and you're going to get better. This is what we're going to do. You're going to do this every day, and you're going to do this every day, and you're going to do this. And in the next 3 weeks, you're going to feel 70% better. And 3 weeks later, I felt about 70% better. And then the next week, I was going to feel this much better. And at the end of 3 months, you're going to be better. And I'm at about 3 months right now. You know, cool. So anyways, my point is that these are important topics for me, and it's something that I believe that, you know, I mean, Jay and myself are going to work on a pretty heavy video that I want to drop, because one of the things that was interesting is that I literally, while I was in the depths of my hell, was sending messages to myself on my phone, like recording messages to myself, saying, Brian, this is where you're at. This is what's going to happen. Or when I'd have a good day, I'd say, Brian, today we're feeling good. Listen to this message when you're not feeling good. It's going to come back. And I have all these things in my phone, you know, and I want to put them into a really powerful video that snake people will hate, you know, because they'll be like, Brian, I just want to see you feed some fucking snakes. And it's weird because I did have a couple comments. I don't care about comments. You know that. It doesn't matter. But some people are like, I just think he's just doing it for attention. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Yeah, like, do you think I literally am breaking down crying every day and literally like wanting to die every minute of my day because I want attention?
Consistent with our podcast. That's the way a lot of people view this podcast. Like Searchable's Reptile. I came to listen to Reptiles. What is this anxiety bullshit?
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I'm passionate about it, and when I start talking about it, it's hard for me to change the topic. You know, I mean, we can talk about reptiles.
Well,
now too,
but that's not what we do.
But no, but I'm just saying, it's like I get really passionate about it because I know it helps people, and listen, man, fuck, people are suffering out there, and it bothers me that people suffer. You know, it really does, and if I don't try to help, man, I'm an idiot. I mean, again, why did I go through all that pain if I'm not going to change and I can't help and I can't share? And
I think that's the most powerful perspective that you've shared is like, okay, this is going to be something very valuable to me, because a lot of times the hardest things in our lives ends up making us who we are.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it does. I mean, and that's the thing. I think that as a perspective, and it's interesting because even when I was in the depths of it and everything else, I still was positive about like most things in life. Like I was still like, it's going to get better. I got to get there. You know, don't get me wrong. I had people like Jay that were literally encouraging me by the minute, you know, while I needed him. And thank God Lori was fantastic. You know, I couldn't imagine being a spouse of someone that's so mentally screwed up.
I was for just a second. Like Hillary went, and this is why I know that this is why I'm glad that you're sharing this stuff here, because just from that one video I did with her, she had a small bout with anxiety, you know, that didn't last very long, but it was real for her. Like she was feeling it, and she was willing to still sit down and talk to me, and like she broke down on the video, and she was just, you could tell she was just hurting. And as a spouse, I didn't know what to do. I felt helpless. You know, but so many people rushed out, like just the fact that she shared what she was going through, how much it just kind of helped them know that it was okay. So the fact that you went through it so heavy and so deep, and you're sharing, you're coming out of it now, your success, like this is going to help so many people to hear. I already know.
Plus, you can follow your dreams regardless. You don't have to let it win. You don't have to stop following your dreams and wallow in your sorrows. You know, you gotta do it. You know, I mean, it's like I said, we didn't take a fucking day off, man. I look back. I mean, I know Jay is listening on the other side of this, and he's thinking the same thing. I mean, we just like the shit we did when I was like unfunctionable was ridiculous. Like I look back and I'm just like, how did we get all that accomplished when I literally would wake up in the morning and couldn't figure out what the difference was between shampoo and conditioner? Like, I mean, literally I was in the shower and I was like, had to think like, okay, what do I do now? Do I do this shampoo or do I do the conditioner first? I can't remember. You know, I mean, that's how mentally challenged I was. And yet we did so much, and we did vlogs every day, and we did all these crazy things. And it was but again, it's something I'll look back on, and I know it will be what will define the rest of my life, with balance and with the yin and yang of life, and listen, you know, the energy side of things, you know, it changed me a lot. You know, I mean, it changed my whole perspective on things, and
I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Well,
it's wild.
I've touched base with you briefly throughout this thing. I've been up here, I think, 3 times since the COVID thing. This is the 3rd time.
Yep.
And so I watched the zoo grow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you do the whole new site. Now, you were in like Italy or something the first time I came, when everything was first getting set up.
Yeah.
But it's been really fun for me living out here, because I grew up in Southern California, so you and I didn't brush elbows too
Not
often unless it was a reptile show.
Exactly.
But that's it. But now that I'm like 4.5 hours away, I just have run into you more often. So it's been really cool to watch that journey, all the stuff.
Yeah,
and don't worry, the reason behind this podcast is for reptile people to not talk about reptiles.
Not talk about reptiles.
If listeners haven't figured that out by now, then
I talk about reptiles all the time. So every now and then I need a break from it. But I never really get sick of it, to be honest with you. But it's the thing is, it's just the beginning. I think that now that this is the challenge in life, is like continue to grow and continue to achieve, but now do it for the right reasons, right? Don't do it to try to prove your dead dad wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't try to do it for that inner demon. Try to do it because you do it for yourself, and you do it because you want to do it, and you want to do things not because you need to prove something to anybody.
Because it makes you happy.
Because it makes you happy. And it's funny, another therapist of mine said this. I take this back. I also, on top of therapy, I went to an energy coach, which was I still go to see her, by the way. Very interesting, as a matter of fact. I always say, Lori asked me, like, does it help? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But I like going, you know what I mean? And although there's some weird things that, like, from an energy standpoint that, have rekindled in my life that I felt as a kid, like some energy things that I felt as a kid that I had forgotten about and that have now rekindled, which is really weird. I mean, I don't want to get into too many details because people think I'm crazy, but some things that like as a child I remember happening to me and in my thought process and stuff, and then through going through these energy coaches over the last 2.5, 3 months, like those feelings have come back. That I was like, I didn't even remember these feelings. But I remember as a kid, this made me feel safe. This energy made me feel safe. And now I feel that same peace again that I had never felt in all my adult life. But you can still achieve things, but not have the kind of like, again, that feeling like you're doing it because you're trying to prove to someone that you're better, you're smart, you're this or that. And it's a tough thing because, when you've spent your whole life in an area, and that's one thing that people have a hard time with. My mom says this to me. My mom's still alive, but she's not, in great shape, but she's 85 years old. She'll say, because she deals with anxiety and depression, not surprising, and she'll say, well, I'm not going to change now. I've had my whole life. And that's a lot of people say that. And I think it's bullshit. You can always change. Always change. I don't care how old you are. Yeah, the longer you've done something, the harder it is to change.
You are the master of your own reality.
Right,
though.
yeah. Always. And it's funny you say that because my energy coach says that. She says, it's your choice. You choose to be successful or you choose to do something like that. You don't have to do anything.
I say this to people all the time. Yeah. Somehow I was blessed to find this thing out at a young age, maybe even when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. I snapped to me. I was like, I'm the master of my own. Anything I want to happen, anything that does happen to me, it's my control.
Yes, you're 100% control. No, you don't. Sometimes I get in a point where I'm like, I have to do this. I have to do that. It's like, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. Right. Other than breathe and eat and live, that's all I have to do. You know what I mean? I don't have to be open at the Reptarium. I don't have to do tours. I don't have to build more stuff. I don't have, I don't have to podcast. I don't, what I mean? I don't have to do anything.
That's why I love these kind of conversations, because you can look, like I'm looking in this room and I can see things where, like, me and Brian Cusco are really similar in these ways, and then me and Brian Barczyk are really similar in these ways. And I'm just kind of like, looking at myself and figuring that out. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot, and I think, again, that key difference for me is, like, I thrive in uncertainty, and I love that kind of stuff. For me, like, everything I do is almost a reminder of how much I love it. Like, I rode a motorcycle for 13 years. I didn't have a car because I liked looking down at the road underneath my feet and being like, wow, if I fell, that would hurt, possibly fatal. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like living on a knife edge. Yeah. And that's what made me feel alive. But we talked about it. The thing that frames that for me, or why I can, like, lose half my face and not miss a beat, or, like, I had a really a devastating, like, incubation failure where I lost half a season, and some of them were, like, very significant, close to my heart projects, and And it knocked me back a minute, but I took a breath. I took a walk. I came back and I was okay. And, you know, like my employee Rob is hanging out there. You can ask him about it. Him and Jess were like, who is this? Like, how can you do that? Like, I was like, can you bury those for me so that I don't have to look at them?
I don't want to look at
You know what I mean?
I definitely know that about you. That's why I wasn't surprised when I saw that half your face wasn't working. You're like, yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah,
I'm dealing with it.
Asking me
of course it's not.
How I'm doing. It's about 50-50.
You know, I felt like it was bothering me more than it was bothering you. I was like,
but for me, the one thing that thriving on the lack of control is because I have this perspective and this belief that Brian and I talk about all the time, that I think there's someone else that is in control, and that's above my pay grade.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just like, that's above my pay grade. I don't, you know what I mean? Like that's not my deal. I'm not supposed to be in control. I'm supposed to live.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to live. I'm not supposed to control.
No, you're right. That's, you know, as a matter of fact, there's a great book called The Power of Now. And it's a very powerful book talking about just the fact that, you know, the only thing that matters is this moment. And live in this moment, you know, and it even to the point, and I've talked about this in the past, where like the past was now and the future will be now, right? Like tomorrow it will be now.
It's just a bunch of little slices of now.
So there's actually clock time that tomorrow is tomorrow, but in reality, in the universe time, tomorrow isn't tomorrow. Tomorrow will be now. Because it'll be happening in the now, not in tomorrow. Right. When you get to tomorrow, you will be in the now. And the past was the now. And so they talk about this in mental health a lot of times, is that the book of the past has been written. You can't change that. You know, and the people that dwell on that are trying to rewrite what has already happened, which you can't. So you have to just live with what's been written, and now you move on to the future. You know, and really live in the now.
But to Cusco's point about kind of being the master of his own destiny,
reality,
you have to live
destiny.
with what's that?
Reality, not destiny.
Reality. Yeah. Sorry. But you live with what's been written, but now you sit down and you keep writing.
Well, sure. No,
you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. No, that's about living in now. Because it's not always easy.
No.
And a lot of times it takes tremendous discipline.
Sure.
Or even doing things that you don't enjoy to get to a place that you want to be.
Well, listen, you know, when I downsized BHB 7 years ago or whatever it's been, that was a pretty massive change in life, right? I had lived on BHB money my whole life, and all of a sudden I was taking and throwing away 3/4 of my income. But I wanted to go in a direction that I thought would be work. And this is what I've said, is that 7 years ago, I am now where I wanted to be 7 years ago. When I started this 7-year journey,
how great is that?
It's like, this is where I wanted to be. Now, I'm not done yet, but this is the vision. Did I think I was going to get there 7 years ago? I didn't know. But
you sure as hell put the work in.
Yeah, well you putting the work in is
definition of success, right?
Yeah, work is important. But I think Casey Neistat once said that you have to let go of one vine to grab the next, right? And that's what happened when I downsized BHB, is that I knew I had to let go of that vine to grab the next vine. And it was very scary because, you know, when you spend 27 years making income on reptile breeding, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm getting rid of 3/4 of my collection because one day I'm going to open up a reptile zoo that everybody told me wouldn't work. Every single person told me there's no way it would work. I even had an investor that wanted to invest money. Thankfully, I didn't go through. As a matter of fact, I have no partners on anything. Well, Lori, but besides Lori, I don't have any partners. But I had a guy that was like, I really believe in, you know, what you're doing, and I want to invest. And I threw out like 5 ideas to him. But the one idea I really wanted was a reptile zoo. And he said, I'll back every idea but the reptile zoo. He goes, because that's a passion project that will never make you $1. And as it turned out, I didn't do any of the other 4 that he wanted to do, and I only did the reptile one, and it worked out great. You know, and it's been financially great. And it's never been about the finances for me. And I've talked about this in the past too. I still have yet to take a paycheck out of the Reptarium, and I've yet to take a paycheck out of BHB in the last 5 years, you know?
Yeah, so, I don't think people realize how many other like little side businesses we have.
We have 7 business. Yeah, we have 7 income streams total that I work on. The biggest one being social, obviously. Social is my social pays my bills. You know, that's what pays my bills. But yeah, so we don't take money from our other companies, you know, because we just don't need to. So if we make money at the Reptarium, we just put it into a coffer for the next expansion. You know, when we make money at BHB, which for a long time we weren't making money, that's just now we can just invest in new animals. And we're not investing in investment projects ever. We don't do that anymore. But we can invest in animals that we really like. Like I'm getting some pied and super pied musaranas here in the next week or so. Musarana, I love those things. I've loved them forever.
They're actually kind of like a house snake.
Yeah, they're like a big house snake. It's like a big house snake. Yeah, that likes to eat other snakes, you know. But
or maybe like a miniature blackhead python.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool animals. Loved them forever. Got the opportunity to get them. Now I can afford to do that, you know what I mean? Because BHB will pay for that, you know, and so it's not about paying our bills. And I think a lot of people are surprised when they hear that, like what, you or Lori don't take a paycheck from BHB or the Reptarium? Like, no, not a penny, not 1 red cent, you know? Doesn't even pay our insurance. Like we pay our own insurance with with my social thing. So BHB and the Reptarium have nothing to do with our finances whatsoever, which is something that a lot of people are surprised
Yeah, it's not something people would probably assume at all.
No, what's cool though is like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know how you guys are structured, but those businesses are definitely supporting all these amazing people that you have here.
Well, that's a big thing, and I talked about BHB because for a while, you know, 3 years ago, I subsidized BHB $50,000 to stay open. We lost $50,000 that year. And the reason why I didn't shut BHB down was 100% because of my employees. Like I would not lay them off so we opened up the Reptarium expansion on Friday the 13th, which is probably not the best day to do it. I always tell people that I'm probably responsible for COVID, you know, because I opened on Friday the 13th. We're open Friday the 13th, 14th, 15th, closed on Monday the 16th.
I do have video. I showed you I have video proof that Miguel brought the Corona.
Yeah, Miguel brought the Corona that weekend. As a matter of fact, he did do it. But my point is that you know, I told my employees on Monday. That Monday, I got my whole group together. We didn't know what was going to happen in the future, right? I mean, this is fresh. Like the world is shutting down, and I pulled all my employees together. And I said, not one of you will lose an hour of work. Not one of you will be laid off. No matter what I have to do, you will all have a job and you will all be able to work as many hours as you want. And that's why I kept BHB going, is because I love everyone that works for me. They believe in me. I think that, you know, we talk with Jay all the time about attitude. You know, I will hire someone with the right attitude over someone with aptitude any day in the week. You know, you can have the smartest, most intensely knowledgeable reptile person that has a shitty attitude, and I don't want them in my life, period. Yeah. Period. Well, I'll take the guy that is like passionate. Jay, the other Jay, young Jay, is a perfect example of that. He's now my animal educator, and he does all the tours, birthday parties that I don't do. And but you know how he became here a thing? He started coming to the Reptarium every night, paying to come in. Just paying to come in. He hung out from start to finish every day. He's like, I'm going to just stay here until you hire me.
Dude.
And he's like, I'm
good job, Jay, dude. I didn't know that part of the story.
That isn't.
No, I know
Jay.
The other Jay. Yeah,
the other
I got
Jay.
you. Animal educator Jay. I know who you're talking about.
Yep. He came here every day, and he's an hour away from here. So he drove an hour to here every day, paid $10 to get in, and stayed from the time we opened till the time. And he would help out. He'd be like, "Hey, do you want me to go get that for them? Yeah. Do you want me to go get that for them?" And he was just like, "You know, I'm gonna keep doing this."
That's so old school. Like, how is that not? That's like the way kids used to get jobs.
That's the way I've gotten almost every job, but most notably from prehistoric pets.
Yeah.
I broke my back with a horse, and I was on disability for like a year while I learned how to walk and do all that kind of stuff. I went down there almost every day. It was like 3 hours away, and I would, help the customers with snakes and everything like that. Until they gave me a job.
I guess you're part of the part of the team now.
So kudos. I didn't think anyone still did it that way, because I always joked around. I was like, I don't remember ever filling out any applications.
Yeah,
I would just bully my way into wherever I wanted to work.
But I think that's attitude is everything, and not only attitude, but also believing in the dream. So for me here, this is about This is about a dream. This is about a vision. And like everybody has to believe that vision or it doesn't work, right? You know what I mean? Like if they don't believe in what we're doing, there's no way it works. So I want every person that's on my team to not blindly follow. I don't want them to blindly follow me. I want them to challenge me if I'm doing something wrong. Lori's a perfect example. She will challenge me on everything I do.
Almost literally.
Almost everything I do. But at the same time, although we characterize Lori, sometimes it's this like she's always never wants to help. The truth is that as soon as Lori realizes, i.e. sloth, it took me 7 months to convince Lori to get a sloth. And the reason wasn't that Lori was like a no, like a no-sayer, like, no, you're not getting a sloth. It was she didn't think we could do it successfully. So I had to prove to her, not through convincing her, but showing her that it could work. And as soon as she realized, okay, it can work, she was 100% behind it, 1,000% behind everything I do. And that's what she does.
I think it's fair to say, yeah, that without her, she would not be nearly... You wouldn't have the success you have without Lori.
Well, I always say this is how our relationship works. Certainly, she is my yin to my yang, no doubt about it. But also, I always tell people that I am a visionary. Period. Right. So I see the alphabet in A and Z, but I don't know the rest of the alphabet. Right. Lori knows B, C, D, E, F, G. F, she knows that. So I go A. I want to do this. And I want to be at Z, you figure out the rest of the alphabet for me, right? And that's a tough position to be in.
Dude.
It's a tough position
Jessica, my office manager, I hope you're listening to this one.
Yeah. No, but it's really true. And I think that you surround yourself with people. I know Steve Jobs said that, right? He goes, I didn't know how to make that blue button do what I wanted to do, but I knew that blue button needed to do what I wanted to do. So I hired people to make that blue button work. Right. And that's the other thing is that I can honestly say that with the exception of Jay, no, I'm just joking. I think every person around me is more talented than I am at what they do. Jay, my camera guy, is obviously a better camera guy, but he's also a better editor than I am.
That is obvious.
Lori, no, seriously.
It is. He is. It's true.
And Lori is better at doing things and achieving things than I am. And I can go down the list of everyone in my crew, and I want to always have people that can do what I would do better than me. Not just, I don't want to be the best guy. I don't want to be the smartest guy. I want to be the dumbest guy in the room, really. Right. I want to surround myself with amazing people.
Just the guy with the vision to put it all
together.
together.
If I can have the vision and also have
just the glue.
Yeah, and also have the charisma for people to follow your vision, right? And believe in your vision, because you show them that you're willing to sacrifice to get there, right? That's the other thing. I think that to a person in my crew, the one thing that no one will ever say is that I'm not tenacious, right? I will beat it into the ground. I will beat it into the ground. And I think when you show that leadership, and they see me here every day when I'm anxious and I can barely, but they see me here every day at 8:00 in the morning. And they go, holy shit, man, this guy can barely function, but he's here every day at 8:00 in the morning, 7 days a week. If they're not inspired, then I don't want them around me. I don't want them in my thing. And we've had to let people go in the past that weren't inspired by that because they didn't believe in it. So attitude is everything. And if you surround yourself, I think the other thing is, as a matter of fact, I had a guy out recently that we may bring on to the crew in a brand new position that is a position that we don't even know what it is, to be quite honest with you. He's a smart business guy, and we may bring him on. He spent 5 days with us just seeing what we do. You know what I mean? And he categorized, again, been a smart business person, right? Not into reptiles at all. He's into reptiles, but he has never been in the business of reptiles. Yeah. And he wanted to come and spend a week with us and talk about maybe coming on to help us in our vision moving forward. And what he said is, he goes, what I took out of this 5 days the most is, Brian, you delegate everything. And Lori, you delegate nothing. And he said, Lori, you do everything yourself. And Brian, you delegate everything to somebody else. And I said, that's absolutely true. And I think that the most successful business people are really good delegators. And they believe in the people they put around them, and they give them autonomy. Again, I can't remember the last time I told Jay that his edit was wrong. and to change it, you know? I mean, there might have been like a little tweak, like, hey, can you do this? But like 90.9% of the time he gives me a video, I upload it. There's been days I won't, Jay's listening, so don't close your ears, Jay. There's been days where I haven't even watched it and I've just uploaded it because I've been busy. I'm just like,
take some creative liberties, Jay.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be good. I have complete faith in him, and I don't need to you know. I watch it not because I'm criticizing him, but I actually enjoy watching what we've created.
His edit,
you know? I enjoy the creativity. But I feel that way about everyone in my crew. If I can't trust you, I don't want you. If I can't delegate to you what you're supposed to do and you can't do your job, then why are you part of this crew? Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of business owners don't understand, you know, that they think that the best thing to do. And I remember Bill Brandt from the Gourmet Rodent.
Yeah.
Came to visit me. This was really probably my tipping point when I changed my philosophy. This is like 12, 13 years ago. He came and he spent a couple days with us. And I remember him telling me this. He said, my one criticism I have of your business, Brian, is that you do too much minimum wage work. He said, you're too valuable to do that. He said, you need to hire people to do that work. And that's a really hard
lesson, though,
for
people like, you know, in the growing stages of a business.
Yep.
Is valuing your time more greatly. You know, like, I don't know. I've been
watching you learn this.
So I have 7 employees now.
Yep.
And most of them were hired during COVID. But my first employee was only a little bit more than a year ago that I hired. And I remember getting really frustrated with Aiden as he was learning things and kind of, you know, learning the ropes and all that sort of stuff. Where I'm thinking, gosh, why does it take him like 3 times as long as me to do something? But he's doing a great job. He's just taking longer. And then I thought, you know what? I value my time 2 or 3 times more than what he's really happy to come work for me for. Yep. So is it really so bad? Right. Like, you know what I mean? Let him go ahead and do it. You know, like he'll get better and all those kinds of things. And that was a lesson for me to delegate. Yeah. You know, as like as far as like employees pay and things like that.
Well, you gotta think about that. If you're gonna pay someone $10, $12, $15 an hour, but then you could go free your time up to do something that could be $100 an hour or $200 an hour. Why would you not do that?
Yeah, but that's the way you need to constantly.
And that's the way you need to contract. You know, Lori has a problem with that. Lori is the person that's, you know, listen. There's 2 people in my crew that are fucking ridiculous. They're unhuman, and that's Jessica and that's Lori. When it comes to work, physical work, if you try to outwork them,
good job, ladies.
Goodbye.
It's the ladies.
Goodbye.
Dude, when Jessica came up to the front the other day, and everybody's we were saying hi, you know, and everybody's ready to say no. She was like she was there for 10 seconds. She's like, I gotta go see if you know. She went straight like I gotta go check on that.
Jess is legit. Yeah.
No, she is like legitimately like a rock star, and her and Lori are the same person. Number one, they're not going to make you feel good about yourself. They're not going to say nice things to you. They're going to freaking just do their work. They're going to put their head down and they're going to get the work done, period, you know? And they are the same person. I love them both. They're amazing. And I often said, and I've joked around about this in the past, and I still will say the same thing, like Jessica leaves, I shut BHB down. You know, that's seriously. I mean, that's how important Jessica is to BHB. I mean, she is... Lori and Jessica are the backbone of that company, you know? Now, we have other people like in the office, you know, that are rock stars. I mean, fucking rock stars, you know? But they don't take care of animals. I'm talking the animal side of BHB.
The labor.
The labor side. And Lori, I mean, you try to clean cages at pace with Lori or Jessica, you're going to feel real bad about yourself. You're going to feel real inadequate really quickly because they're going to do 4 rows and you're going to be on half a row. You're like, how did that? It's literally, I think it's physically impossible to do what they do.
To your point about they don't try to make you, they're not going to try to make you feel good about yourself. Like Lori,
I want to watch
this trip, like Lori, like there was a couple moments where I was like, I think Lori thinks I'm okay, and it was it felt like a huge success for me. Honestly, I was like, dude, I think Lori actually thinks I'm okay. I was like, this is the best part of the trip. The anaconda thing was awesome, but the fact that I think that Lori actually thinks I'm okay is like dude, that made the trip
it's
right
hard.
there.
It's hard. Lori is just a very, she's like, I think she has this thing where like, I don't have time to make anyone feel good about themselves. You just, and she is who she is.
That's why I felt like such a big win.
The thing I love about her is that outside of like the opposite of me, again, the yin to the yang, is the fact that like I'm always looking for acceptance, right? Because I don't feel good about myself. I'm trying to change that, but I'm trying to look for acceptance. Lori could give a fuck what you think about her. I mean, she could give if you went up to her and said, you are ugly, you are this, that, she'd go, I don't care. I mean, she just literally doesn't care what you think about her. She has no interest in that. The only people she cares about is her family and her friends, period. You know what I mean? And then as you get into her inner circle, then you're her friend. And then she's going to care about you like she does. She is literally a wonderful, wonderful person. And people don't give her credit for that. She's proud. I always say this. It is true. I think she's the best person I've ever met. As far as human qualities, you know what I mean? Like, she's loyal to a fault. She will die for her family. She is, so my point is that it's, I saw her, you guys hug a couple times, and I was happy too, because I was like, she does not. I'll tell you Miguel's story real quick. Miguel came up once, and he was like, he went to go give Lori a hug. She goes, no, that's okay. She walked away. Literally, he went there. He had to say, he goes, hey, Lori. She goes, no, that's all right. She just walked away. Dead serious.
Do you feel better about yourself now?
Dead serious, man.
So Brian's daughter, I don't know how much time you've got to spend with her, but how old is she?
Brian's
I've never met. Yeah.
Oh, you got to meet her. She's baby Lori.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
How old is she now?
She's 2.
Yeah. So she's 2 years old. The last time I went there, I was sending them pictures of like her facial expression next to like the grumpy cat meme. Look, it's the same person.
Hey, as a father, I'm telling you, I love that disposition, man.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
But I finally got on her good side the last time I was out, and she's cuddling with me, and we're playing and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I can see what you're talking about. Like, you're the best kind of person.
Yeah.
You don't have to give it away. You already know.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think weirdly enough, Brian and Lori are different as far as your energies and stuff like that, but you're similar in the sense that you're so comfortable with yourself. Like, you couldn't understand what anxiety is, because anxiety doesn't live within confidence, right? When you're confident, you can't be anxious. And Lori is that way. Like, she doesn't understand what I go through, although she's very sympathetic
sure.
and empathetic to it. She doesn't understand because that doesn't live within her. And that's it's a great quality, and it's a quality that I hope I can achieve one day, where that doesn't live with me either. And I will get there. It's not a matter of I hope. It will happen.
Yeah,
it will happen. It's 100% going to happen. And but I think you all need. We all need the yin to our yangs, and we all need the Loris, and we all need the Jessicas, and we need the Jays, and we need the other Jays, and we need all the other people in my crew that are so vital, because I can't do all this myself. I can't do any of this myself. I can't. All of this is because of the people around me. And that's and the tough thing with that too is to find people that understand that but don't take advantage of that. Right?
Sure.
That's the hard part.
Sure.
As soon as I think I read this once from a guy named Donnie Deutsch. He runs a company called Deutsch Industries, which is a like $300 million a year New York publicity company and ad firm. And he said, as soon as an employee thinks they're indispensable, fire them, because they're worthless to you. That's what he said. He said, as soon as they think you can't get rid of them, you need to get rid of them, because they will always come back and bite you in the ass. That
makes sense.
And I think that my crew, like, listen, I can't imagine life without Jay forever. Like, whether I stop vlogging or not, we're going to be doing stuff together. We're going to create businesses that keep him employed for the rest of his life, and hopefully making money for the rest of his life, and good money. And the same thing goes for Jessica if she wants to be a part of this, which I hope she sure will. And same thing goes for the other people that are in part of my life too. I will always do it. But at the same time, not one of them are like, oh, you can't fucking get rid of me or else you're fucked. You know what I mean? Because as soon as that, and I'll be honest with you, that's what happened with Chewy. And I love Chewy. Chewy's one of my best friends. You know, I love the guy to death, but he worked for me, and he finally got to a point where he was like, you can't fire me because you can't afford to get rid of me, so I can do whatever I want. And what happened? I fired him. You know, that's what happened. I fired
That sounds
him.
like Steelers drama right
Dude,
there.
so check this out. Check this out. We've been getting pretty deep for a good portion of this podcast. Like that, we've been, I'd say, fairly deep for the bulk of this podcast.
Yeah. Hey Jay, can you start recording? We're gonna start podcasting.
I'm supposed to record this? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
We have a segment that we usually do at the beginning, but I think we're doing this whole podcast in reverse. I'm pretty sure
Okay,
that's what we're
that's
doing.
That's
It's
pretty much
a
it,
segment that was the only segment we do. It's called Getting. And I'm hoping Garrett has something ready. He better, because I don't ever have it ready. He always has it ready.
It's gonna be really
It's called
good.
Getting Deep. No, sorry, getting deep in the shallow end.
Diving deep in the
shallow end.
Yeah.
So it's something.
That neck injuries happen that
Gotta
way.
be some kind of
That's the way we roll.
Yeah.
right. So it's something very not deep, but
Yeah, okay,
like
got
I
it.
guess you
Shallow.
Still, yeah,
Okay, let's
shallow
do it. Let's
topic.
go.
All right,
Let's go.
so you ready to bring it? This is.
I'm bringing it, man.
I thought a long time about this.
Yes, no, and yes. That's the answers.
Okay, let's do our drink sponsors. Shut her down.
Wait.
No, go for it.
No, so why do we have to refrigerate things? What was the original refrigerator like? Why do you refrigerate? Can't things just be fridged?
Well, instead of
Yeah,
refrigerating.
what do you refrigerate? What are you doing again?
That's a good question.
Fridge. I just recently learned the root word for fridge too. I literally learned the root word for fridge and I'd lost it.
Well, I know that the original ice boxes were pretty interesting because they were literally ice boxes, right? So there was a box with a
Piece of ice in it.
Yeah, well, not just in it. The actual back was a false back, and you would fill it with ice, and that's how you would actually refrigerate things. But why they would refrigerate, I don't know. What do we got here? We've got the word refrigerate originates from the Latin verb refrigerate, which was derived from the Latin adjective frigus, meaning cold.
That makes sense.
So frigus and refrigerate. Yeah, so there you go.
So
Latin
something
for-
something that's cold, and so you're refrigerating. It's just kind of keeping it cold.
Yeah,
That's why
keeping
it's
it cold, yeah.
refrigerate.
Yeah. Why does a refrigerator run in a...
So like, how did
just
we
don't know
survive
what's
for
wrong.
so long without them, and then like all of a sudden we need to refrigerate things?
I never survived without them. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm old, but not that old.
Didn't they used to put like meat on salt back in the day to
Salted
keep it
meat.
to keep it
Cure,
fresh?
Cure.
Yep, salted meat. Or
So,
not, if you could just
when
let
I
it
lived in
ferment.
Indonesia, most people still don't have refrigeration.
Sure, right.
So what they do is they have these little like street food markets that are on the way for all of like they call them Mumbantuan, but like the nannies or the maids, the story I was telling last night with the Mumbantuan. So on the way to work, as they funnel into the houses where they work, there's all the meats and veggies and all that stuff. And what they do is they cook a big lunch and then they keep it for dinner and then possibly breakfast the next day, and then that's it.
Okay.
So you just cook, you just slaughter it on the way in,
Yeah.
cook it up,
Yeah.
like
That's how I think big part of the world probably lives that way.
it's great. It's fresh. It's awesome. But that's the big difference between, like, we had some awesome Thai food, and I was saying like, wow, this is really good Thai food. Thai food is pretty similar to a lot of Indonesian food. You can't match what you actually get when you're out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything is like
Yeah, it's
volcanic,
fresh,
soil grown,
Yeah,
fresh,
yeah,
picked
fresh, yeah.
or whatever.
Well, it's
that
even like
day.
Italy, it's like, they live on pizza and pasta, but yet you don't find hardly any overweight Italians,
Right.
because it's all really fresh. I lost like 7 pounds when I was in Italy.
Really?
And I ate pasta every day.
Seems counterintuitive.
Literally 3 times a day I ate
Thank
pasta.
you, veganism.
Yeah, I pasta.
Can't drop this mic.
I could definitely do the non-refrigeration thing because, with one exception, which I will mention, but because I can't
we
eat
all know that exception.
I can't.
Come on.
I can't eat
You know
what
something
he's
cold.
talking
Like if
about.
I have
Yes,
pizza, ice
exactly.
cream. Yes, even
Yeah.
Brian knows this is how bad it is.
Everybody knows.
All right, it's
That's
no
all right.
secret.
Did you know that Mark Zuckerberg spent a whole year where he only ate things he grew or killed himself?
Mark Zuckerberg.
All right,
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's one positive. He doesn't have a lot of positives, but that was one positive. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, what do we
interesting.
got?
That takes
What's
something.
next in the shallow end? Or is that
No,
it?
that's it. We
That's
just
the
have
shallow
one.
end, and then
one. Wow.
Yeah,
That was all
we're
we
literally
got.
doing this in reverse. So what we usually do at the very beginning is we talk about our drink sponsor. So this is the end now, I guess.
Okay.
We got a drink, which is
This
perfect
actually works.
because
So
You
tell
don't
me about
drink
the
anymore.
drink
well, here's the
sponsor,
funny thing is like I think that we actually have more drink sponsors today, probably because people were aware that we were coming here. They're like, oh, I want a drink sponsor that you guys are going to Brian's.
Yeah,
I want a
We're
drink
gonna have to
sponsor
come
that one.
podcast
You know,
with you
they
like
look-
once a month so that
They
we
look sexy as hell. I mean, every one of them looks like I would love to drink them. I would not like to drink them, but they look like I would love to drink them.
But that's the funny thing. I was like, yeah, everybody wants to visit, but we're probably not going to drink.
yeah, it's a hard one, man. But they look great. Tell me this. This is like moonshine or no?
So that one is Moonshine. That's from Phil Wetterman.
Phil, okay.
Yep.
Thanks,
and
Phil.
His buddy actually made that's like a cinnamon peach.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
And
This
then-
one I have to try because
That
I
one
just
looks
to
really
see if-
good. Huckleberry, huh?
Okay, now this one actually has a history. So Jason Bigler,
I don't think I'm going to like
Morph
this one. That's why I'm-
Mixology,
Oh yeah,
was
Morph
our
Mixology. I know.
he
yeah.
was our first drink sponsor.
Oh, okay.
And it
was
sucked.
the
It was
worst.
terrible?
We've been talking about it, how bad it was for the last 2
So
years.
he's trying to redeem himself.
He's trying to redeem himself, and he did it by choosing something that
Oh,
is probably Cusco's least favorite category of alcohol, which would be a flavored whiskey.
oh,
So
you don't like
what
the
he did
flavored
was,
whiskey.
so he's from Montana,
Okay.
and he got us some huckleberry flavored whiskey.
It sounds wonderful to me.
Ugh, you would
Sounds
say that.
wonderful.
Gross.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's no whiskey that actually tastes well or good. But I tried to drink whiskey. After we hung out a little bit, I was like, I'm going to try to be. There's something
Jason,
really
it's
like
better than the last one.
there's something really good, like I don't know, like sophisticated. This is the thing. I know this is going to sound weird. To me, you know what whiskey is? The sophisticated. That it was not a right word, but you get what I'm saying. Square glass, round ball of ice, little whiskey. Oh man, that just to me just seems like you're
What?
sophisticated.
So
You take
this.
you take that ice ball out, and then you've got it.
Okay, you don't do ice. I don't know. Yeah,
No,
so
I like the ice.
I
I
just
like the
think it
frozen
looks cool. I just
stones.
want the square glass with a round ball of ice and
So
some
you
whiskey.
and me are on one. So this guy actually drinks. You and me are more like, I want to drink just to like how much I just drank of this is.
This is how much I actually drink. I wasn't okay with like a deli cup or something. I needed to have real glasses.
Yeah,
and
real
we
glasses, yeah.
we
So
didn't have any real glasses.
when-
These glasses actually, I stole these from the Red Ox Tavern.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
But
I'll
I-
call the police.
No, but
I
hey, hold on. But I felt bad. Like when we were sitting at the table, I felt like if I did this, like that was the plan. We went there. The hotel didn't have any glasses I could borrow. It was plastic
it's
stuff.
Predisposed.
I went
It's
in when I was
yeah.
thinking, well, I'm coming here and I'm going to steal some glasses so that we have some
Oh,
That's like
glasses.
that's first degree theft.
Yeah. So, but so when
Because
we
you're
came, but
thinking
then we're
about it
sitting
before.
down, and Bradley and I are sitting there, and we're finishing our meal and stuff, and like we literally all we had there, we had a couple sliders, and the glasses were sitting there. I was like, dude, if I take these glasses, I feel like it's just dead obvious. It's like the only thing on the table. Like if
Yeah.
they come back and they're like, oh, the glasses are gone because they're literally
Yeah.
the only thing
Because
still
that's
sitting
why
there.
you don't steal, because you might be caught.
No,
Right, yeah,
no, I
yeah.
felt bad. Well, I know that places like that, like the glasses, they drop them all the time. They're like dispensable. But so I did the right thing. I told our waitress, I was like, you know what? How much? Can I buy these glasses? Like, how much can I pay for these glasses? And she said, just take them.
Ah, there you go.
She had a man on the
Thanks.
inside.
Yeah, So she's the worst kind of employee. Yeah. How much, Jessica? How much is this leopard cap? Just take it. That's perfect. Perfect. In the meantime, the guy, the Red Ox Tavern is going broke. Where's all my fucking glasses?
Well, I think the thing is that why it's
I'm
okay
spending
with
so
them-
much money on glasses each week. I
You
can't make
would
a profit.
appreciate this. So for as much as I enjoy the sophistication and finer things in life,
Yeah.
or at least the appearance thereof,
Parents thereof. Yeah.
when I went to his house for our first podcast that we recorded at his place, he has this nice whiskey glass for himself, of course. He had nothing
Yes.
for me. So I went over to one of the
Plastic
tubs.
cups.
No, I dumped the snake's deli water out.
Oh,
and that's
nice.
what I used.
Perfect. That's
and
good.
that
I like
was on
that
brand.
was on brand. Yeah. So what do we think about the Huckleberry?
The huckleberry is.
Actually, it's pretty good.
I mean, it tastes like boysenberry syrup or something.
It
It's-
kind,
Really?
well, yeah, but not in a bad way, not in like a corn syrup way. It kind of tastes like. Do you remember the stuff Kim got that was like that peanut butter whiskey? It was
Oh,
good.
that's dangerous, man.
Yeah,
I
that
actually
stuff?
tasted that. I think you could die with that.
you might want to keep
No,
this one then.
oh my gosh,
because that's
yeah.
You might
that
want to try
kinda
a sip of
reminds
that.
me. Oh,
I mean,
Jay,
like the tiniest like
Jay
taste.
is
No, or
jumping,
not.
doing jumping
Maybe some
jacks in
other
the
stuff.
other room, saying, "Pick me, pick me."
Yeah, Jay's like,
Jay,
he's
come
like
have a drink.
Jay
dude.
likes the
Jay, come on
fruity
and have a
stuff.
drink. Put it on wide. And
Yeah,
come
put it on
in.
wide and come in here, bro.
Yeah, come in here and have a drink with us, Jay.
Oh man.
So I just the flavored whiskey. I drink whiskey for the flavor of the whiskey that the
Yeah.
barrel gives the
Yeah,
whiskey. So
yeah.
when you cover it up with something like that,
Oof.
I just don't. It's not. I can't. I can take a sip of it, enjoy the fact that somebody
That's
puts
really
some effort
not
into
bad
it.
though, Jason.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
it's
you
not
did
bad.
a really
I'm
good
not going to
job.
say that it like. I'm sure many people
So
would
he
really
redeemed
enjoy that.
himself.
The
He
first thing
redeemed
he
himself.
brought,
I'm going to call it and say he did.
the first thing
Alright.
he brought, I couldn't see anybody enjoying anywhere ever.
No,
No.
he didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So we drank this much of it, and oh gosh, it was awful. I mean, it was
Really?
literally the worst alcohol I've ever drank.
Oh my
Flavor.
God,
I'll
the
say that he
worst
definitely
alcohol.
The
redeemed
worst.
himself with somebody
He
out
came
there.
out later, and I was like, dude, try this. Seriously, this is what you put us through while we're podcasting. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hey, what's up,
It
Jay?
didn't work.
Jay, I just want you to
Jay.
know that you are indispensable.
Did you plug it in?
I plugged the headphones in, but there's
Oh, you didn't plug the mic in. Oh, there's no cord.
Technical
Yeah,
difficulties,
so-
guys.
Yeah.
Cusco,
So
what's-
have a drink.
What's this one? You just suck on this glass. There you go. You can take that one off.
Suck on that.
You can
And
come
like-
talking to my mic if you want to.
Fortunately,
keep talking.
fortunately, we're recording video for too. So when I say things like that, people can get the context.
Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, he's just going
Oh,
straight
he just,
for it.
like,
That's
he
what I
did- he
said,
did a
yeah.
guzzle, too.
Chug
It's
it.
actually not bad.
No,
He
that's
did
what
a
I'm saying.
guzzle,
For a
and he
flavored
didn't even,
whiskey,
like-
that's I actually kind of like that
supposed to be working.
huckleberry thing. Yeah, it was
Wow.
good.
No, it's good.
That's what we all
like
drink on the job.
Okay, we're gonna leave that one here.
So
okay,
what's this one? This
now
is a
this
small
is more
batch.
Cusco's
Rebel.
getting into.
Well, I bought that just in case I really hated that.
Oh, okay. This looks really good. This
You know-
1792. Is this good or no?
I have a bottle of that at home. Yeah, it's pretty
It
decent.
looks beautiful.
The couple that came to the house last night.
Yes.
They brought that. So,
Oh, it looks beautiful.
yeah.
I love the bottle.
JK Reptiles, I believe. Well, not to be confused with JK Reptiles.
Not the, not the,
Yeah, there's
the
a
other
couple of
JK
those.
Reptiles. The other JK Reptiles.
now that
This
that,
is
that one is actually
double
one
wood.
that I bought for my employee Rob that you met, who's
yes,
here
yeah.
for his birthday, and he's
Okay.
been saving it for
Well,
a
we should
special
drink,
occasion.
we should drink his birthday gift. then.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so he brought it so that
Oh.
we could drink it while we were staying here for
Ooh,
this weekend.
look at that bottle,
So
man.
that is a single malt
that's
scotch.
that's an age 12 years.
Yeah.
It's matured in 2 distinct casks.
Albany.
I act like I know what I'm talking about.
No.
I'm like, what the fuck is that? Yeah.
Now, again, another similarity between me and Barczyk on this podcast. I don't know. Yeah. So
David,
have
I
at
think
it.
that isn't this the one that David Stewart made? Oh yeah, that is David Stewart right there. Yeah.
So you guys missed it, but last night, oh man, if I play a video off my phone into the mic, do you think that the audio will pick up? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So this is like, I love my employees.
Oh, sorry.
I completely support.
JK Reptile Lab. That's their
Lab.
company. Yeah, so I knew it wasn't just JK Reptiles.
Ah,
Sorry.
All right, so
gotcha.
last night when we were following you from the Thai place to your house, Rob was a little bit excited. He's been known to fanboy. Here, listen to this.
Rob just found out that we're actually going to Brian Barczyk's house. Oh boy! I'm really hoping he can get all his fanboy out in the car before we get there.
Oh boy, oh
You think you
boy.
can handle that, Rob? I don't think so. Do you know whose car that is right there? It's Brian Barczyk's car.
It was a
Hell yeah.
oh, that's awesome, man. Oh my
He
goodness.
said,
I'm sure it was a massive disappointment on all levels.
Always.
no. He said, do you remember we were all hanging out and
Yeah.
you and Lori went in the kitchen and you
Yeah.
guys got to talk for a little bit. Highlight of his life.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was
man.
like,
I'm
no,
so
he just,
happy.
he's a big
No,
fan
I'm
of
so
yours.
happy. Well, I am.
now you're gonna go out there and be like, "Oh, Rob,
So,
where's Rob going?
we
Let's
didn't
sneak out
get-
this way."
We didn't get the little in between when he first met Cusco. We just thrust Cusco upon him.
Thrust.
Yeah, and so
Thrust.
he did.
Generally, how I meet most people.
He acted like that, and with Cusco, he's like, "Oh my God, I just brought Cusco!" You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Try a little bit. It's syrupy.
This guy's drinking whiskey out the bottle.
Boom.
It tastes good.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. there you go,
It
Jason.
doesn't have the whiskey like bite to it.
As long as one of the
No, it's
Bryans
very-
likes it, I think
it's
you
very
gotta win.
smooth.
Yeah, I like it, man. It's good. If I
This
was a
one-
drinker,
This
I
one's
would
got
drink
the
it.
bite.
Yeah,
That's-
this one's more whiskey.
No, yeah, it's what do they call it? Spicy? Is that what they call it? Spicy? I don't know what they call it when like it's got a bite.
This one?
No, this one here.
Oh,
That's got some bite. Is they call it spicy
yeah.
or no?
I don't know what they call it.
they call it "Stop Being a Pussy."
Yeah, yeah.
That's exactly it.
It's like MJ with his Thai food,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
the P word.
Yeah, MJ to Thai food is you to whiskey, maybe.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah.
that's not true because we sat there and sipped on some whiskey in Indonesia, and you
Yeah.
handle it like a man.
No, I listen. I was saying.
Sorry,
that
P word,
after
whatever.
we-
Sorry. Yeah.
After we
Don't cancel me.
after we hung out a bit, I tried to like do some whiskey. Like I bought a handful of bottles of whiskey, you know, and I would sip them every night, just a little bit. I'd sip. And I kept on thinking, like, you know, it's like beer, right? When you first drink beer, it's horrible. Yeah. But then you like, wow, I need a beer, you know what I mean? And so I thought the same thing. I tried a lot. I probably did 3/5, you know, over the course of like 6 months. Like drank all 3/5. Like every night I would, like, not every night, but maybe 3 nights a week.
So you had 2,250 milliliters.
Whatever that is, yeah. So I did like 3 different bottles, and I would, you know, one was real spicy, real, you know, it was like, it came in like it was, what was it called? Came in like a wooden box. Have you ever seen these? It's like a wooden box with like a acrylic front.
Oh, you had Booker's?
Booker's. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I've acquired about 45 bottles of whiskey in the last like 60 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's getting into it.
And the Booker's is the best whiskey I've ever had in my life.
It was good. Yeah, I drank the whole bottle. I mean, it took me like a while, you know, like 2 months to drink it.
This is crazy revelation for you. Drank a whole 3 whole bottles of whiskey.
I'm surprised you didn't.
This was shortly after the Indo trip.
This was right after the Indo trip. Right
That's
after.
so Barczyk.
I was such a good influence. Then we didn't see each other for a while after that. That's where we messed up, I think. That's we're not going to make the mistake again. I'm going to be back to see you way more often than.
I hope so. And I'll be out to as soon as we can travel again. I'll be out to California a lot. I haven't been up to your neck of the woods, so I need to get up there.
It's a whole different part of the state.
Yeah,
man.
and I like, you know, I am. So you're between San Francisco and in LA. Yeah. So I've been to San Francisco and all the way up into Fresno and stuff like that. I've been in that area, but I haven't been south.
You're going back down in Central to get to Fresno from San Francisco. So you're going like south.
Is it down? It is south. Okay, yeah. So I've been down to Fresno. And I've been to Sacramento, and so I've been to all those areas like northern-ish California, obviously San Jose, you know, all that stuff. But I have not been between Fresno and LA.
Oh man, you need to get him with the other Brian. And
I've been. I went to visit Brian. Yeah.
Did you guys get to go herping for San Francisco?
No, I wish I didn't know Brian well enough.
People, you were saying people call you a ball python guy. I still think of you as like the colubrid guy.
Yeah, I'm a colubrid guy. I really, if I had to choose between colubrids and ball pythons, I would choose colubrids every day. Right. That's just my.
Yeah, ball pythons have just taken the world by storm because there's so many redeeming qualities.
Yeah, and I love ball pythons, but
I've always considered you a colubrid guy because that's old school herping. Like you go catch stuff and someone finds an albino and you're like, oh my gosh, I'll buy that. I'll give you $5,000.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I bought the first albino Honduran milk snakes. I bought the first albino Arizona mountain kings.
Hondurans were always my favorite.
Yeah, and then I bought the second anuthristic. We produced the first snow cows. First snow Hondurans.
Really?
That's
crazy.
First ghost Hondurans. We bought the second ever sold
the ghosts are the
pastel
best.
Pink hognose and albino hognose from Rich Evans down in Lubbock, Texas. So no, we've always been like on the cutting edge of we produced first ghost Brooks King snakes.
And Brian was a big colubrid guy before he started reading ball pythons too.
Yeah.
That's why I think you guys got to go find, because there's 2-3 ponds left where you can find a legit San Francisco garter snake, most endangered reptile in North America.
That video when you were at Brian's place, that was a big thing because Brian was the first person that I caught. He would often put his phone number out there on YouTube. Yeah, and so one day when I was looking for people, I was like, well,
wow, that's weird.
I guess I'll call it. I called him, and he was super cool. Yeah. And then I saw the video with you and him because you obviously were a big part of me watching videos and getting back into the thing. So when it was, and we've done this story, you know, I've talked about when I had the two of you together at Forrest's house. That was the moment for me, dude. That
was awesome.
So yeah, if you got
was that the time I was there too?
Yes,
right?
Yes,
that was the time we had the joke, wasn't it? Like, what did Cinderella say, or was that not the?
Huh?
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That was Kim's joke.
We won't.
Kim's joke. But no, well, it's funny enough. Brian had the moment, that fanboy moment with my boy Bernsey, because that when we filmed that video right after, I had Bernsey come over for lunch.
That's what he told me.
And and he was like over the top, like fanning out on Bernsey because he's a huge San Jose Sharks fan. And so Bernsey pulls up in his what I call his rape van. He's got this huge, like Sprinter, like that's like decked out camp wise and stuff like that. He pulls up in that, and Brian Gundy was just like, and we had beautiful chicken and watermelon dinner. Lunch. It was absolutely wonderful. His wife cooks amazingly. And Bernsey enjoyed it too, so it was a good experience.
Brian is one of the greatest.
Oh my gosh,
people I've
he's
ever
a
met on the
sweetheart,
planet,
man. Just
dude.
an unbelievable sweetheart, man. I love the guy. So and I know he's a genius when it comes to herping. Like, I mean, I've got to get out with that guy.
He goes every day.
Jeez,
I don't know anyone that herps every day. And I mean, he like intentionally. It's not like, I go for a walk and live where reptiles live. He goes and he hits these herp spots every day.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for how many years?
Honestly, dude, when it happened, like if you're able to come out and
Decades.
go herping with if the three like and
that's
you
true.
two, of course,
I will hold your cameras. I don't care.
that will
need
be.
to
I
go
will
be
literally.
there.
I'm about to cry just thinking about it. Honestly,
It was-
if the three of us, if we're out there herping and I get
Let's
Brian
do
and
it.
Brian and we're herping out there,
I'll do it.
telling you.
Let's not even. It's going to happen. Let's do it.
I fly out from Pittsburgh to make that stuff happen because it's just good for your soul.
Yeah.
To be out there in that beautiful country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Finding these animals. And like I said, Gundy herps almost every day of his life. Yeah. And he's done it in these choice spots for years. So he's finding like the absolute crowning species, like San Francisco garter snakes, California
crazy,
mountain king snakes.
Wow.
And he could do it all in a day. Rubber boas, the stuff that you never
Now,
can
how
find.
far away is he from you?
about 2 hours.
About 2 hours.
It's ideal actually to fly into San Jose Airport to come see. It's the
Jose, okay.
closest one. Well, the San Luis Obispo Airport.
It's like a nice,
Yeah,
the last time we went herping 3 different spots, and it was just a little loop. And we left from your place, we picked him up, and we did a little loop, and we saw.
What we can do is when life gets
ungodly
back
stuff.
to normal, and there's actually hockey, we'll do it during hockey season.
Oh,
that way
yeah.
I can go to San Jose. I'll
Totally.
stay with Bernsey. We'll go hang out with Bernsey. Go hit a hockey game. Like the real way with like the team and stuff like that.
That would be
like,
sick. I've actually never been to a hockey game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The
If
Shark
we-
Tank is a great place.
If we can somehow magically coordinate that while the Penguins are playing,
Jeez.
that would be the triple crown.
Interestingly enough,
the bad guy.
Bernsey's been in the league for like 17 years. He won the Norris Trophy a couple years ago, best defenseman in the league. He's a pretty good guy. And he says, hands down, Sidney Crosby's best player he's ever played for. With
I mean,
hands
I
down.
don't think anybody's gonna disagree.
But I mean, that comes from like one of the guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
any hockey fans like, oh, Sidney Crosby's great. But this comes from a defensive. They won a gold medal together too at Canada. So
That's
they
17 years? That's
17
nuts.
years. Think about
In
that.
hockey? That's nuts.
Think about how much money that is.
How many teeth?
He doesn't have any teeth. His front teeth are gone. Seriously,
all of
front
them.
teeth are gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's completely gone.
I can afford
And,
new ones.
He kept getting them replaced and getting them knocked out. So he said, "Fuck it, until I retire, I'm not going to replace again." And he wears it. Too. He doesn't wear like false. I mean, he just like
He just goes for it.
He's a Chewbacca, man.
That's
That dude's a
hardcore,
Chewbacca,
man.
He's
That is
There's a
hardcore.
whole hockey culture.
yeah.
that-
You will not miss him as a hockey player. He's 6'7", no front teeth, big old beard.
I feel
drinking
like
just like dude's
sometimes I
hockey
feel
to the
like
core.
hockey is the last thing, the last hope for millennials to not be so soft
Yeah.
because it's
But even
still
hockey is like you can't
surviving.
really fight that much in hockey anymore. I mean, it's frowned upon.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
frowned
know.
upon to fight. And-
But I think anybody that plays hockey for that long is still gonna get out with no teeth.
oh yeah, no, he's got his teeth knocked out more times than not. But yeah, so that would be really a fun time to go. I know Brian would love it too, and get out there do some hockey stuff.
Yeah, that would be
really cool and
fantastic,
go out.
man.
Yeah, I love that area. I love that part of the country. San Jose is so beautiful. It's amazing because San Francisco is so. It's nice to go like to check it out, but to go hang out.
You
in
don't
San
wanna
Fran,
stay there
No,
forever,
no.
yeah.
Especially the poop bombs are all over the place now.
Yeah, we'll stay on the city. It would be strictly herping, hockey.
Yeah, it's
Herping,
a
hockey,
beautiful
and-
area. where
Although
he
the
lives.
Muir Forest is amazing. Have you been?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, Muir Woods, absolutely.
Oof, man, it's beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
I
That's
have
one of the
not.
most beautiful places I've ever been. Yeah. So that's I mean, San Francisco, like when you get past the city, it's freaking gorgeous.
Well, once you get north of Santa Rosa,
Yeah.
it's the whole state changes. It becomes
Yeah.
even people learn how to drive again. Like
wow.
nobody's driving in the passing
That's a
lane.
big joke because I'm a Southern California.
It literally
guy, so
happens.
it's like,
Once you get past the
we
exit,
should split the state.
once you
know?
get past the exit in Windsor, it literally even people. I've literally done this, driving past the Windsor exit, and all of a sudden, people that were driving in the left lane for no reason, it was just get over in the right lane.
Oh my gosh!
It literally. I've watched it happen
yeah.
many times, and the entire northern part of the state is 707, whereas in LA you've got 100 little area codes.
Yeah,
that's all 707. It's just like redwood forests and like God's country.
So beautiful.
Well, Brian, I don't know, man. I think we gotta call it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This was a great.
This is our longest one yet.
Barczyk,
I'm long-winded.
Thank you for coming on to this.
No,
we really
had
appreciate it.
I had a great time, man. I do this anytime. I appreciate you guys, and yeah, let's do this again.
Yeah, I love this space. If you guys haven't been up here yet, you need to come, especially the stuff you showed me that's coming.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope, man.
If you guys have not been to the Reptarium, do it once in your life. You know what I mean? You
do it for your life.
Yeah.
To make your life
as many
better.
times as you want, man. I know
That's
we
it.
love to have you here. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Peace.
Perfect.
When do you guys want me to
All
start
right,
recording?
man. That was good.
I know you stole that joke from me, bro. I was totally gonna do